morning and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys Dave and Paul and Jack, soon to be joining us as well as Postecoglou ball returns, and we are building up to today's home game versus Sheffield United. Paul, my man, how are you keeping? Great to have, the real football back, I would say.
That's it. It feels like years, doesn't it, man? I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been slowly getting more excited over the week. I was getting bored over the last weekend, and I'm buzzing. I like your new opener, by the way. Very nice, man. Got me jazzed up. That did.
Yeah, I was just about to give a compliment to myself. I really like it, lad. And then you get me and Jack walking out the end into the game. It's absolutely all over. And of course, we had to get a bit of rotten bomb in there as well. And by the way, people in the comments, let me know if you've ran down to the bookies and got a bet on a Ron Bomb spectacular today, because he does have 2 goals to his name this season. Could he get another one? He's in a rich vein of form, shall we say. But look, let's welcome a few people in. We have Rinketic Sports Agenda. Perchy wants Dyer to start. Oh, Perchy, you're going to have to come on and explain that, my man. A big up, Perchy, sending some people over. Really appreciate it. Big up, Jay Dilla. And also Mark Satoshi as well. Great to have you in the building. Hope you enjoy what you see today, guys. Chris says, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Harris Army. It's Ange ball day. Another 3 points needed. Let's go. Big up, my man. We also have Prashant Godara says, let's effing go. Absolutely all over it, my man. We also have Berbatov's halftime smoke, the greatest name in the game. Back to early mornings. We're all back to early mornings. It's, you're lucky your boy's a good morning person. Big up. Jacko, how are you keeping, sir? Great to have you in.
Dave, I'm so sorry. I've arrived late to the Ange ball. That's not a good form. Ange would be disappointed in me. He might hopefully at least give me a bit of the Basuma treatment where, he said, you know what, Jack, you've arrived late, but, you need to act like a leader and you need to turn this around. And then I'll just turn into the flying number 6, hopefully by the end of the day. But apologies for arriving late to Ange ball, everybody. Ange ball withdrawals, and I've arrived late somehow. I've been waiting all week.
6 a.m. your time. I think we'll forgive you. I think Ange will forgive you as well, my man. Big yourself up, Jack. Great to have you on board, brother. I also think Perchy might be joining us as well somewhere along the line. I think he's having a bit of a break. Big up Daniel Azito as well. Morning. Come on, you Spurs. Daniel Sandoval, good morning. Choo-choo. Get on the Postecoglou train. Big up Adrian Schrocker, great to see you. And he also says, looking forward to going to the game, and early Spurs could lead to a goal fest. Big up, Adrian, my man. Hopefully you enjoy your day out. Hopefully you enjoy the game. Are you going to any of the protests beforehand? Do let me know. I believe there's the trust protest about the season ticket prices. I think there's an Daniel Levy protest before that as well. Let me know if you're going to any of them, my man. Big up, Chris. Exactly, my man. Don't forget to smash that like on entry. Big up, Wembley once says, good morning, everyone. I am trusting that Ange has banished even a thought about the North London derby, and as everyone focused on today, same points for a win today as next week. Absolutely spot on. Look, me and Jack were talking about it yesterday. It's about just getting over today, getting over the line, getting the 3 points, and then focusing on next week. Which, by the way, I think we're going to shock them at the Emirates next week. Just putting it out there nice and early. I think we're going to do them over there next week. I cannot wait. Leo Land Lego says, let's have a great win today. Get the buzz going again. Big up, Leo. I didn't realize you had a YouTube channel. He has a YouTube channel doing all of his Lego. Big yourself up, Leo. Great to see you in the building. Everyone check it out. Dave H, 1960. Good morning, Dave. Let's get this done. Big up yourself, my friend. Big up you, Dave. Dave H, my fellow compatriot. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Big yourself up, brother. We also have Chris O'Riordan. Says, what's more important to you, Angela? Not sure what that's about, to be honest. Oh, Ange ball or 3 points? What's more important? 3 points at the end of the day. I don't care. Obviously, being able to play in Ange's style and collecting 3 points is what we all want, right? It's what has us all excited. We've got it so good at the minute. But ultimately, 3 points is what matters. That's what dictates your league position. That's what dictates whether you get European football or not. Am I right, Jacko?
Yeah, I mean, Ange even probably would say to you, Chris, that he's as much of a fan of the pretty football. He's much more of a fan of winning, and I think he's kind of said that all along. Despite how much he emphasizes a certain style of play and a certain philosophy, he also seems to value winning, you know, almost just as highly, if not higher. He seems to be very upset anytime, you know, things don't really seem to go his way when it comes to defeat. He takes a lot of the blame personally, but you can tell that he's a guy who really makes a lot of changes quickly after and makes, you know, a lot of sort of adjustments and, you know, thinks about it a lot. And that's just the sign of a winner. And anywhere he's gone, he's been a winner. So he would take the 3 points, Chris.
Paul, isn't that something that seems to be get misconstrued, right? That, you know, people think, oh, Andrew's here for vibes, this, that, and the other. But he's a winner.
Oh, big time, man. He's done it everywhere he goes. But I think
he cares about women at the end of the day.
Yeah, I might disagree with you a little bit, though, because he's trying to build a style of football that he believes will get us wins. And in the early days, which this still is, if we play the way he wants to play and we lose, I don't think he's going to be too upset. So, I mean, if you ask that question in 6 months' time, it'd be a different answer. But right now, I think the style of football is the most important thing. But I don't think it's an either or. I think we're going to have Ange ball and 3 points.
Love it. Love it. There you are. Big up Machiavelli as well. Says it's showtime. Big up. We also have Bizarro, FF, Sar, or Benchicor. Look, I like both, to be honest with you. I really like both. That's why I'm going to struggle between when he comes back, whether it's him or Sar in that midfield, in that other number 8 role. Sean Johnston says, got a feeling we might be top of the league tonight, guys. It's going to be a great day. Come on, you Spurs. I really hope so, Shawny boy. I really hope so. We also have Neil Shafton. So looking forward to watching the game in my bed. No distractions, although it's 4 hours away. Yeah, look, hang in there. That's what I say, my man. Make sure you get a nice breakfast. You got 4 hours to have a good breakfast, a good glass of orange juice, and get yourself ready for the game, my man. Andrew Bailey says, morning, Ireland's number 1. Let's get the win today. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Andrew Bailey. Great to see you. Also, Paul Connor. Big up, my man. Great to see you in the building. Swim Master. Great to see you. It felt like an extra long break from watching our Tottenham. Well, I mean, you know, last year I wanted the international breaks to extend. This year I don't want them at all. You know, that's the big difference, Swim Master. We also have Jack Bloom. Great to see you. And Andrew Seymour. Great to see you, my man. Keith Edwards, another one. Good to see you. You're off to the match today. Big up, my man. Hopefully you enjoy it. Big up, Bell Pinder as well. I have some information to give you on where to watch the North London Derby while you're in Dublin, my man. So if you can email me, I've got all the information for you and I'll pass it over to you, brother. Big yourself up. Big up, Barbados halftime smoke. Who else have we got here? Stinging Nettle, great to see you. Shem Tem, great to see you, brother. Also, Terry Rizzo, big up from Melbourne. Great to have you in the building. We also have Biggie Singh Johal. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, King Huddle. Great to see you, my man. Drula, Ribsy, great to see you all. Jazzy Fusion is with us. Great to see you, Mr. Fusion. Front three today. The rest pick themselves. Great to see you in the building, man. Let me know how you're keeping in the comments below. Who else have we got? Make sure I don't miss anyone. Evan McCabe, big up the panel and all on board the Irish Hotspur Express on the way to 3 points, my man. Big up. But Bob P. Counter's gone with 6-0 smashing today. Spurs GCTV morning, guys. 5-0 today. Minimum. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely loving the confidence. Free Assange is with us. We also have Geoff Bargery. Box office hates Ange. No, I don't think he hates him. I think box office is just waiting for something, that's sustainable to get him excited. Big up, Dragon. Dragon, he's nuts. Big day. Oh, come on, you Spurs. Great name. Absolutely love it. Who else have we got? We've got Liston Music as well. Or Liston Hines. Sorry, I don't want to get overhyped. Spurs over the years have often found a way to ruin my Saturdays, but I can't hold myself back. So 6-0 in today. Get in. Absolutely love that. And then we've got this from Talk Tottenham Till I Die, Sean Nagel. It's a massive 3 points today. Big up Dave, Sean. Or Dave, seen you been using the Daz again. Nice clean top. You know yourself. The boy, your boy, every Friday gets it soaking in a bit of Daz, then washes it in a bit of Daz, and no tumble dryer on it. I can't afford any shrinkage on this bad boy. I'm already pushing the seams as it is, so I have to make sure it's hung out dry with plenty of time to dry, my man. Big yourself up.
This one is out of the tumble dryer about half an hour ago, and it's as warm as hell, and it's a hot day in Sydney, so I'm suffering for my art here, but it's worth it because Spurs are back, man.
It just makes me feel good putting on this jersey. I absolutely love that. I love it. I need your one as well. That reminds me of Les Ferdinand.
Reminds me of
Norman
Darren
Stanley,
Anderton, man.
Oh, you guys are making me jealous of my 6 a.m. choices of outfit. I think I'm gonna have to, change at one stage after a few questions. I'll get a few warm-up questions in, then I'll try to, maybe put on, the nice little, Ellie coat or something like that. But yeah,
you will. You'll have to get something on, Jacko. You have to get ready for it. Big up Norman Stanley Fletcher. Top man Irish. Can you imagine the noise levels at our place at 2:55 today? It is going to be unbelievable, man. Do you know what? My first game this season will be Chelsea, and it's moved to a Monday night. But I genuinely can't wait for it. The noise levels, Chelsea at home, going to be unbelievable, Norman. Big up, Claude Murphy. Great to see you. Also, Phil, big up, my man. Let's effing go. Nice warm-up before we smash the scum next week. That's exactly the way I'm looking at it. J. Cole, great to see you. Robbie Belcher, great to see you, my man. Also, Neil G, long way to go. Robbie, how you keeping, though, brother? Let me know how you keeping in the comments. I haven't spoken to you in a while. Big up, Troop. We told morning yids and yidettes, I'm going to the game today. Well, enjoy it. Make sure you sing loud and proud.
Speaking of which, I'd just like to say Happy New Year to all the Jewish Tottenham fans out there. Let's start the new year with a banging 6-0 win, eh?
Happy New Year to you all. I didn't know that. Big up, Paul. I appreciate that. Didn't know that. So Happy New Year to you all. Dave H. 1960 says, sorry, guys, didn't know you're on the show. Morning, Paul and Jack. Do you think Johnson will get some minutes? We will be talking about that. Do not worry about that, Davey. And we have Elias Rotis. Greetings from Limassol in Cyprus. Good to see you. And then we have Adrian Chia. Easy on us today, Adrian Chia. Please, I beg you. Nice easy script today. Big up, lads. And Blockbuster is back, Jacko.
Yeah, the blockbusters are back. The sensational football, the cameramen have to get themselves ready because, they usually have to work pretty hard because there's so many different sequences of play, so many different passing patterns that come with the Ange ball. And so everybody's just going to have to just, prepare themselves for what is usually candy football or just some beautiful passing plays and beautiful passing sequences. Dave, might need to use the restroom a few times, might need to, clean himself up from some of it. And, it's just a part of it. And, haven't had it for a while. So we might get excited a little early, maybe even just one little simple, sort of triangle, and we might lose it. But, the Ange blockbusters, the Ange sensationalism, it's all back. And I'm looking forward to it, Adrian G. And I don't know, it's Sheffield United. It feels like they're a team that, you would think are easy on paper, but you have come up with some pretty crazy scripts with them, I feel like, in the past, Adrian. So I'm not gonna fall for it this time. I'm not gonna fall for it this time, Adrian. I can still see it, being a crazy script from your end.
And that's the thing, lads. We owe them one. They done us last year in the cup, 1-0 down at their place. Wasn't too happy about it. So, if we want to restore a bit of pride, smack them up today. That's what I say, Adrian. Big yourself up, my man. Great to see you in the building. Big up, Roland Kumar. Great to see you. Also, Rasta County as well. Great to see you in the building. Along with Moline, Rooty Toot. Great to see you. And Daniel Cousins. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go and smash it. And Welsh guys says, big up Dave, Jack, and Paul, and the Harris Army or the HH in America. Up early and maybe watching on Peacock. No IPA at this hour. Very excited.
I got you covered, Alison. Don't you worry.
That's what we like to hear. So,
hope you're enjoying your morning.
On holidays in America, or is she at home? I'm confused.
She has plenty of relatives, I know, and I know she's connected to a few different states on the East Coast. I believe maybe one more kind of in the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken as well. I could be wrong, but big up to Welsh guy. Hopefully she's keeping well this morning. I was thinking about a cheeky McDonald's this morning, Welsh gal, but I'm not really sure if that, sounds that great because McDonald's on the American side is actually worse than it is pretty much on, most other ends of the country. Japan have it better, UK have it better. McDonald's is actually, a little bit substandard over here, but I don't know, maybe think of a cheeky, you can get the gigantic coffees in America. You can get the 24-ounce, 28-ounce coffees. So if you're into that, Welsh gal, maybe go for something like that. Feel American.
I'd say if I get one of them up to the house, you'd be bouncing off the walls.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It makes you feel American.
Good sausage McMuffin as well would be nice.
Yeah.
Paul, Dark Zone G says, come on, you Spurs. And Ball is back. Ange and Mads are manager of the months and player of the months.
Beautiful. Well deserved.
Well, yeah, 100%, 100%. It's great to see them
Yeah.
in the photo holding that award. You know, when was the last time we've seen Tottenham players or even managers achieve anything individually, you know, and winning any of them monthly awards? So it's a sign of, yeah, exactly. You know, so it's a sign of the times, you know, that things are changing, along with a few other stats and that I have with you throughout this show. You know, there is a sign that the culture is changing, and the signs that you know, Tottenham are changing. Their fortunes are being turned around, right, Paul?
Absolutely, man. And you can hear it now. Like, it's just nice to hear a manager. You know, I mean, we all know there's probably shenanigans going on with the owners or whatever, but Ange is up front taking all responsibility for everything. And that's, you know, by doing that, that gives him power and influence over the club. And I mean, who can refuse Ange? And he said he's happy. He's been back. So, you know, and he's up for FIFA Manager of the Year as well. So we're just so lucky to have the guy.
Yeah. You know what? We are because, you know, if he would have stayed at Celtic and that would have came about, that he was up for Manager of the Year, someone else would have been straight in for him. And the fact that, you know, he turned down Brighton to finish out at Celtic, you know, it's a beneficiary that we have him now, you know. Absolutely love it. Dark Sun G.
Quickly, too, Dark Sun G, something to think about. Can Ange be one of the few managers to break that Premier League, you know, Manager of the Month curse, right? The first one to get it, you know, is usually always, it's been cursed for, you know, most teams, and I believe also as well as us. And let's see if Ange is that powerful that it just doesn't even phase him. It doesn't even reach him. You know, that sort of kind of bad voodoo. Big up.
Absolutely. And Jack Daxon G says, can't wait to see Brendan Johnson today. Son Maddison, a goal incoming. What would you say? Do you think Sonny and Maddison with bad goals today, Jacko?
I said in our pre-match thoughts, Dave, I could see if Sonny starts at striker, while he might not have that aerial presence, right? What he could have is maybe more. He's far more capable of just a worldie, you know, he's far more capable of just, you know, spinning his man, you know, let's say we kind of need a goal, like how Christian Romero just randomly, you know, just kind of happened to just, you know, throw in an absolute worldie for us when we needed it. You see Sonny, you know, capable of the same thing. You might just, you know, get a little bit, you know, a half inch of space off of his man, right? And then he just ends up curling it with his right, sails past the keeper, and we find ourselves 1-0 after what looked like maybe a little bit of tension, you know, maybe a bit of a, you know, a sort of a caginess between the two teams. And you see a guy like Sonny far more capable of just sort of getting us out of that deadlock than maybe Richie might. With Richie, it feels like he's sort of dependent on the service, dependent on, you know, sort of like other players sort of playing well around him, where Sonny technically could sort of do it on his own. Same thing with Maddison, could technically sort of create a goal more or less on his own as well. But I'm seeing somehow a Sonny curler happening today. I'm not sure if we've been getting those yet. You know, he had the hat trick of just solid, ruthless finishes, but maybe let's see a curler today from Sonny. I see Johnson coming off the bench today, Dark Sun G, and be nice if the game was a bit more stretched. Let's say maybe we're up by a goal or two and Sheffield United have to sort of go for it. Then I think you throw in a Brendan Johnson, and then he would probably put the nail in the coffin.
For sure. Big up Dark Sun G. I definitely don't think Brendan Johnson starts today anyway. That's for sure, my man. Big yourself up. Then also, Futility 1912, Ron Bomb the second. This time it's personal. Absolutely love it. We also want to welcome in Bobby BG. I'm going to the match. I'm 68 years old. I'm really excited in seeing this team. That's what we want to hear, Bobby. Go out and have a great day, my man. Go out and have a great day. Wilson T says, big up, chaps. Feels good to be going into a game where we know we'll have a great chance to win and all the fans will enjoy. And that's what it's about, my man. It's great to get back to these times. They've been lost over the last 3 years, buddy. Big up, Kate, as well. Hopefully you and Jim are doing okay as well. Hopefully, I know you're not 100% there, but hopefully you are getting that way. Big up, Kate. Also, big up, Big Mike. Great to see you, along with Gabriel. And also Lily White's India. What a beautiful day. Listening to my favorite lads right before the game. Come on, you Spurs. Big up. Really appreciate that. And then we have Paul O'Connor. Remember, for 3 months, do you think we'll start with the same lineup? And would you like to see Johnson and Phillips come on for subs around the 70 minutes in Big Ange we trust? And the win today will set us up right for next week. Paul, where are you at with it? Would you go with the same lineup that started last week against Burnley in the 5-2?
I'm in Ange's hands, man. I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. And like that, the 68-year-old guy, I seem to have cornered them. Bobby, I seem to have cornered the market in getting older fans of my channel, and when I hear people that were around seeing the double winning side and the team of the 60s getting excited now, I mean, for any young people out there, it never stops being exciting for being a Spurs fan. I'm 51 and I feel like a bloody teenager watching this team at the moment. It's fantastic.
Yeah. You're only saying that to me before this.
Yeah, it's great. I'm excited as anything.
Yeah.
No, he has been able to bridge that gap, that maybe has, been left behind, by the Jose and Conte and Nuno, where a lot of the, let's be honest, maybe more veteran Spurs fans, more experienced Spurs fans can really say that there used to be some sort of identity to how Spurs always played, good or bad or successful or not. There was sort of a core to it, and just giving them that sort of nostalgia, or let's not hope it's even, nostalgia. Let's hope it's sort of, the real thing, for a long time. Right. Yeah. But it is, at least for right now, you could probably say like a bit of that nostalgia, I imagine.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's just great to be winning games and doing it in style and having everyone talking about us again, and everyone loves our manager. Even on TalkSport the other day, you had Arsenal fans writing in the comments going, it's hard not to like this guy. Once you start weakening the rivals like that and they like what you've got, a change usually inevitably comes about. It's the same with the Pochettino era, right? We find it hard not to like Pochettino and Son and all this. And we went on for a spell of dominance. So hopefully the same can continue, my man. Look, I think more or less he'll go with the same starting lineup that played against Burnley. I don't think you can change too much, to be honest with you. We'll go through it, but Solomon, 2 assists, can't change him. Son, hat-trick, can't change him. Midfield, they've been brilliant. I don't think you can change them. Back 4, goalkeeper, what can you change, my man? I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Look, it would be nice to see Johnson get a run out. I think it depends on how the game goes. But interesting enough, if you look at his substitutions over the last 4 games, he makes a lot of his substitutions in the forward areas to keep it relentless. It's something that I spoke about and Paul spoke about before, that I expect these substitutions in around 60, 70 minutes, more, especially across the front line, so that we can keep pressing them, keep them penned back towards the end of the game rather than them playing in our half. So, I think definitely look out for that, Paul O'Connor. Look, Ashley Phillips, I hope so. If I see Dyer get on the field before Ashley Phillips, I'm going to absolutely lose my shit. I cannot have that. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be moving on and progressing. If he has wormed his way back in again, I'm going to chain myself to him so that he can't go to any trainer or any games. I'm sick of him. Sick of him. Dark Sung G says, first time in a while that the break felt long. Exactly, my man. Look, feel bad for me. I have to go and watch Ireland, It feels even longer, 90 minutes feels like 180 minutes of football. The days seem to be going slower. And then when handball comes back around, the days just seem to tick by very, very quickly. But we're here. We've made it, Dark Sung G. We've made it through to another round of handball.
Man.
Time. You've got a nice little, I would call it an Amos boost today. Then you go in for the big goal against Arsenal, and then you've got the sweetener with Liverpool at the end, my man. So get ready to dine out with me, Dark Sung G. And just a girl who loves Spurs says, big up all aboard the Ange train. Chew. Well, I think we'll struggle to find anyone that's not on it right now, Kate. Even Arsenal fans are on it, Even Arsenal fans are on it. Big up, Kate, though. Great to see you. We're all aboard. We are all aboard.
Hopefully you and Jim are doing a little bit better this weekend as well, Kate. And hopefully you guys are recovering. You guys are just sitting on the couch or wherever you guys happen to watch the Spurs games. But hopefully you're both keeping well.
It's not all bad for Arsenal fans. They've got the likeable charisma of Arteta to look forward to, haven't they?
Yeah, Lego head. Yeah, as much charisma as my backside. Big up Wayne Bonner. He says, good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Come on, Spurs. Talk to me tonight. 3 points and a clean sheet. Coming our way. Big up, Wayne. Oh, great to hear.
Get in there, Wayne.
Absolutely loving. Great to see you. Get the coffee into you, my man. And big up, Nick Brown. Good morning, Dave, Jack, and Paul. I'm ready for another good win. 4-1. Big up. Absolutely love that. And Neil G is saying, please do it, Dave. Please change yourself to him. And Craven is saying, Amos Boosh, love it. And then we have this Dark Sung G. I'm not going to say that second then because I know you're going to try and catch me out. And then Dark Sung G says, I hope it's not Madley referee today. He can't see a pen. well, we don't have to worry about Madley, my man. But I've got a chat for people today if things don't go well. So just hold out there, Dark Sun G, and we'll tell you exactly who the referee is today. So, of course, the game is at the greatest stadium in world football, or as Levy called it the other day, Sports and Entertainment Centre, which I did not like, by the way. Did not like that one bit. I forgot to mention that Tuesday. I absolutely hated it, reading it and seeing it. But, you know, the best football stadium in the world, Daniel Levy probably won't like me for saying that, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's where we are at today. Of course, kickoff is at 3 p.m. So make sure you get on that. The referee is Peter Bankstart, son G. So when I sort of wrote the name down, I was thinking if things don't go our way, I want to hear the full 60-odd thousand at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium singing "The referee is a banker." Can't get in trouble for it, and it's a bit of a workaround. So, you know, I want to hear that being chanted if the referee, Jack's trying to hold it together there, but if the referee is trying to, you know, screw us over, that's the chant we need to get on. The referee's a banker. So, absolutely love it. Then in the VAR room, we've got Graham Scott. Never heard of this guy before, so do your job correctly if you're watching. And then on the TV, it's in the UK and Ireland, again, this bloody initiative of trying to get people down to lower league football, not showing the 3 p.m. kickoffs, is an absolute joke. You know, I think they're being, what's it called? What's the right word? Discriminatory against Premier League fans who follow Premier League teams because they won't show the 3 o'clock kickoffs. And then in the USA, it is on Peacock TV. In Australia, Up the Sports, and in Canada on Football TV. So, that's everything you need to know in terms of the match details. And Dark Sun G, that's the referee. So let me know if you've got any stats or anything we need to know about this guy. I miss them. Used to always send them in. You know, used to always have something for us in that regard. Injury-wise, now, I know Rodrigo Bentekers, a.k.a. Ben 10. I know that he is back in training, but he will not be ready for today's game, as Ange Postecoglou alluded to in his pre-match press conference. I know there was doubts about Romero and Sonny, but they are fit to go, ready for today. Both played another game after the injuries that they seem to have suffered in the first game, so they're fit for today. Ryan Sessegnon, shock, out with his hamstring, and then Lo Celso out with a muscle injury. Oh, by the way, I don't know if people knew this, but apparently Dyer was left out of the matchday squad for the last while because he had a knock. Shock. And now he's back in the squad. Don't believe it. Do not buy it. Didn't have a knock. Ange Postecoglou just didn't want to include him, and now he's being forced to. Sheffield United, Ryan Brewster's out with his thigh. Koulibaly's out with his knee. Fleck is out with his calf. And Norrington Davies is out with his tie. Sorry, Paul, you wanted to say something there?
I was just going to say, it just shows another reason why Ange Postecoglou is the classiest manager in the Premier League. Classier than Ten Hag, having a go at Sancho in public. We know what's going on with Dyer, but that's how you answer the question. A bit of a knock, you know, blah, blah, blah. Just brush it all over, you know.
If he works his way back in, I'm going to... Honestly, I'm going to lose. I swear to God, I can't take it any longer. But everyone, a big up Moondog also coming in the chat there. Great to see you, brother. And then also, big congratulations. Look at that. The two guys happy. The sun's glistening off them. I mean, they look like stars, right? Well, they are. Ange Postecoglou, Premier League Manager of the Month. James Maddison, Premier League Player of the Month. Long may it continue. So big congratulations to you guys. And also, the under-21s have kicked off their game against Brighton. I do have it on Spurs Play in the background. I will keep you updated as we go along through this show of the progress of that game. And also, make sure you check out the watch-along myself and Jack will be doing Tuesday night against Colchester in the EFL Trophy because Spurs Play are showing the game. So we can watch it and do a watch along. Absolutely love it. So we will let you know how the under-21s are getting along as well. Hopefully Jamie Donnelly and the boys, Dorrington and co, they can all go out and absolutely smash a victory here. I think Jacko's getting up on his background there now as well, by the looks of it. But big up Ange Postecoglou and James Maddison. Now, we'll kick into it. Well, no, not yet. We'll kick into it in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We've got Adrian Tree. Amazing how quickly non-Spurs fans are talking to Ange. Paul, it was the same in Scotland, right? You know, everyone, when he first came in, who's this guy? They laughed at him. They had him at the butt of all their jokes. And by the end of it, they were sad to see him go because he was great for Scottish football, but also they loved him.
Yeah, well, and Ange said, like, just, I think when he won the treble, the Scottish FA Cup final, he said that, look, people thought I was a joke when I came here, and everyone couldn't get enough of him. Like you say, Rod Stewart sent him a case of I think it was wine every time Celtic won. So Rod Stewart was upset when Ange left. There you go. By the way, if we beat Sheffield United today, this will be Ange's 50th home game without defeat. The last time one of his teams was beaten at home, I think, was in November 2020 at Yokohama. He never lost a league home game at Celtic. So, for those statisticians out there, you'd be saying, oh, well, we're guaranteed a win then, aren't we?
Well, hopefully we get that win, Paul. Hopefully we get that win, my man. Big up Adrian Chia. Really appreciate the support, brother. Everyone's loving him now. We've got Faz Radfar probably on his way to the game today. Big up, Faz. He says we need to give time to Ange no matter what happens, Jacko.
Yeah, I feel like this is what Dave has actually been sort of talking about for a little bit, that, Ange at one stage it sort of felt like was, rightfully so, being questioned for certain things that, happened on Tuesday night with Fulham, but it just sort of ended up being, maybe a lot of pressure and a lot of sort of highlight. He was all over the media, all over Talk Sport. Plenty of people on Twitter, seemed to make some pretty bold statements about, him getting it wrong and everything. And I just feel like with Ange, we have to kind of appreciate that he's not going to get every single step along the way. It's not going to go perfectly for him. It never does for any manager. It's almost good sometimes you get, the occasional thing wrong, because there might be a silver lining actually, at the end of the day, or, at the road of it. I actually feel like that was the case with Sanchez, leaving, because that might have never happened had maybe he not played that game, against Fulham on that night. Maybe there wouldn't be as much pressure on certain other players as well. We actually got to see Solomon move from the right more to the left the following game, and he actually gave Solomon another chance in maybe his better position, which could be on the left, and he ended up having a far better game than he did on the right. So certain things like that could have actually been sort of a silver lining for Ange. And I just feel like, us as fans, yes, it's okay to sort of like, maybe raise your eyebrows and, of course, think about things that he could do differently. But still, I feel like, at no stage should we be thinking that, Ange's future, Ange's career should be sort of questioned here at Spurs. He's done a fantastic job, and he's even done a better job than he has anticipated, to begin with. Usually he sees, his kind of beginning tenure to be a little bit rocky, and, things can kind of be a bit inconsistent, but he's done actually kind of the opposite of that. So let's just give him the faith, give him the trust, give him the benefit of the doubt. And even during those little bumps in the road, just continue to love Ange and continue to love this team. And I imagine they'll come back.
Well, I reckon the reason Spurs fans, and me included, we were disappointed about the League Cup because our expectations are so low, because we haven't won anything for so many years. When I was a kid, no one cared about the League Cup. And I don't think Ange made any mistakes. We've got bigger fish to fry. I think he's got that Bill Nicholson vibe. It's better to fail aiming high, and that's what Ange is doing. He's aiming high. He used the League Cup to build. I don't care about it. I really don't care that we lost out on penalties, because things are going well. And I know people are upset, but you won't be upset at the end of the season when we're lifting the Premier League title and the FA Cup.
Well, hopefully so. Maybe the FA Cup, Faz Radfire. That'd be nice, my man. Moondog says, come on, you Spurs. Morning, lads. Big up, Moondog. Great to see you in the building. And hopefully you are keeping well, my man. Great to have you in the house. And Dermot says it's not the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's White Hart Lane. Absolutely love that, Dermot. Absolutely love it. And then Dark Sun G says Scott was the ref that didn't give a red card for Matty Cash in 2022. Oh, that tackle. Who was that on? It was on... I can't even remember who was on now, but it was an absolute dirty tackle. I do remember that. It should have been a red card, Dark Sun G. Well, hopefully he knows the laws now, because it seems to be that no one in that VAR room seems to understand the laws. Big up Dermo. He says, Dave, not the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Always will be White Hart Lane. Well, look, to us older fans, it'll definitely always be White Hart Lane for sure, Dermo. I really don't want them to sell the naming rights. I get if they do for the money and everything else, but I would like to keep it as the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. My man, big yourself up, Tron. Really appreciate the support, brother. But look, we will crack into it. We'll start talking about the game. But that's the injury news and everything else we have gone through. Paul, we'll come to you. The international break can feel long. It can feel like it destroys momentum. With matches against Arsenal and Liverpool on the horizon, are you glad we're playing a team of Sheffield United's quality beforehand, or is that sort of disingenuous for me to say?
Oh, I don't know. I understand. I understand your thinking there, but I don't care, man, because we're just going to beat everyone. We're going to beat everyone. We're going to smash Arsenal, Liverpool. We're going to smash them as well. So I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters who we play, because I mean we want to see where we are as well. We're doing well, but it'd be nice to have a couple of those benchmark games to see, if we're just flattening ourselves with deception, and Ange will find something out about the players under those circumstances, or whether we are that good. But I don't mind. It's coming out of the international break though. Sheffield United, they haven't had a good start to the season. I think it's a nice amuse bouche, as David would say. I know my beard needs its own green screen. It keeps on disappearing.
It needs its own filter. It does, Paul. Definitely.
I think I have to say, well, actually, no, you just need to dye it black, Paul. I just need to dye it black like my man by here.
I'll be dyeing it blue and white if we get to a cup final. No mistake, man.
I'm gonna hold you to that. You know that. I'm gonna remember that.
No, I've already talked to my daughter about it. Sorted it all out. I've planned it. I know what to do.
Love it. That's what I want to hear. So hopefully we can get to a cup final. I really want to see that. Jackal, would you have preferred a tougher test today, or are you okay with the sort of fixture that we've been handed before the tougher test cup?
Yeah, I asked you this on the pre-match thoughts, Dave, and you seem to think that you don't really want, a team like Arsenal or Liverpool kind of straight off the bat, in an international break. You can have guys coming off, sort of the plane a bit leggy. They've not even had that many sort of training sessions in the first place. So if you were to come up against a really challenging team, technically you have less time to prepare for them, less time sort of in the tactics room and even though Ange doesn't really change much going into a lot of games, he does, I believe, go into sort of the tactics room a lot. He does like to go into the drawing board and, see, what sort of threats they might offer and, what things you have to think about, what sort of areas you can penetrate, etc. But I'm going to, to be honest, I feel like Sheffield United, this seems disingenuous, and I probably will be embarrassed for this at some stage, but I feel like they might be a little too easy of a team to come up against. And also they play slightly different to how Liverpool and Arsenal are going to play as well. I'd almost wish maybe we did come up against, if I were to be super picky here, that we did come up against like the Bournemouth or the Burnleys or something like that before, maybe Liverpool and Arsenal, because Bournemouth and Burnley, they sort of tried to play on the front foot. They tried to play a bit more progressive, a bit more positive, similar, in a sense to how Arsenal and Liverpool try to play if you were to try to make a broad connection. Whereas I would say Sheffield United are going to have nothing in common in how they're going to try to set up and how they're going to try to play to Liverpool and Arsenal. And so are we going to really take all that much from this game, other than confidence and, sort of, belief in ourselves, into the next games? Probably, I feel like that's the only thing we're going to really take from it. Not really much tactically or any sort of kind of, any in that sense. So I do feel like if I were to be a little ridiculous, Dave, and if I were to be really picky and a little snotty, maybe a different team than Sheffield United, before the North London derby would be nice.
Be nice to see, though, the contrast, though. How do we measure up against the team that may well try and park the bus? Can we break them down? I think that'd be interesting to see.
Look, it's definitely an element of our game that's going to be tested. We sort of, against Brentford, I don't think we've done enough to break them down on a consistent basis. We didn't really create a lot, but also defensively, we were found vulnerable. Since then, we've improved. So it'll be good to see how much improvement we have made. And, look, we can get an early goal today. We can rip these apart because they'll have to come out and play. The longer the game goes 0-0, the longer it's going to, frustrate us, this, that, and the other. But for me, look, coming off the back of international break where you've got a lot of players that are tired, flying all over the world, played multiple games, some of them at high altitude, this, that, and the other. I think they'd relish having a game like this today where they're expected to dominate possession, be on the ball instead of chasing it around, running after it, hopefully get the win, and get out of here and roll on next week where, they can expend energy. Seems mad, says we scream about leaving up back in the manager when there are some fans who blast the manager at the first obstacle. Not me. You won't find me do that. Nowhere near it. The Fulham game, I understand Andrew's philosophy, why he done it. I've went in and read a lot about Andrew and his philosophy and stuff like that. I understand why he's done it. He sort of, if he's got a squad, he wants everyone to feel a part, everyone to feel included. So he gave them their opportunity in the cup game with something riding on it, and they let him down. We can sit here and blame the manager and everything else, but manager's only as good as the tools he's got to work with. So, if he doesn't have a full squad or a squad that's filled out to his liking with players, a squad to his liking, a squad that's filled out with his players, I mean, I don't know, what people get on his case. It's not 100% on him all the time. Sometimes you got to look at players and say, yeah, they've let us down. Same players that have let us down under previous managers before. We can't keep blaming the manager for their performances. Yeah, you can say, oh, well, he put them out there, grand. But most fans said, oh, the second half team in preseason looks better than the first half team. Most people said, oh, some of these guys are okay to stay around as backup. And then when the backup comes in and plays, then they moan about them. Or they moan about the manager playing them. But then, then get the energy, get behind them and say you want change, you want them out of the club. Simple as. Simple as, if you ask me, my man. But big yourself up. But Paul, my man, let's keep it moving, brother. Is our biggest struggle going to be today how we break down Sheffield United, who will sit low block in that 3-5-2?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because, it wasn't like we were playing counter-attacking against like Burnley or Bournemouth, but they were trying to press up the field, and we were just dominating them. I think, I think with the likes of Udogie, Basuma, Maddison, and Son, and that's just naming a few off the top of my head, let alone Solomon. I think the intricate way, especially that Udogie and Basuma are passing the ball. I don't know if you saw Basuma, his assist on international duty, where he kind of like dummied a goalkeeper, took it around the defender. So it's going to be more play like that, ball to feet, close control. And I think we'll do it, and that's why I'm excited to see it. So it's not like a fast, breakaway attack. It's going to be getting up there and finding a path through to the goal. And I'm sure we'll do it several times.
For me, I think it's about getting the ball out to your wingers today on their fullbacks one-on-one. But it's important that our wingers look to take them on at every single opportunity. What they can't do is what we got sucked into doing against Brentford, cutting inside and playing the ball across the two blankets of defence. We can't keep affording to do that. With this game, we have to get the fullbacks or wingers on the outside, getting balls in and across and pulling people out of position. But also, it's very important. Basuma today was very important against Brentford, where he got the ball, picked it up, drove at people, beat people, took them out of the game, which creates space, which allows Maddison to be able to feed them passes, allows Son to be able to get turned on the ball and get his shot off. We just cannot get sucked into playing it their way, everything in front of them. We have to ask questions of them. We have to constantly probe, slide balls down the side of them, in behind them. It has to happen today. Because if not, and we play everything in front of them, we ain't going to get joy. We ain't going to get luck, and we ain't going to create chances. Jacko, where are you at with today's game? How do you think we beat such a team that sits such a low block like that 3-5-2? It'll more or less be a 5-3-2. But they're going to sit more or less on the edge of their own box.
You need kind of a few things. I think you need wingers that are sort of relentlessly direct and are relentlessly trying to make things happen, with whatever opposition wingback or fullback that they might be coming up against, right? You can't give them an easy day. You certainly can't just, try to give it to somebody else to try to make something happen. I think most of the time, where the space might be found is in those wide areas and is in those one-on-one situations, with those wingbacks and those fullbacks. So Kulusevski, even if he does favor cutting inside, he needs to be able to, do it in an effective manner that he can create enough space so he can try to, find someone, making a slip run in behind, or someone who's trying to, link up for a nice 1-2, where then he can maybe try to get in behind or try to get into the box or whatever it might be, even if it is a low block, just, quick little link ups, sort of at the edge of the area that can be positive and direct, but you just need to be creative and you need to be willing to take risks, I think. And I think sort of what happens too is, when you come up against teams like this, you don't often want to take those risks because, it can lead to a counterattack. You sort of try to, maybe play into their sort of hands a little bit, because they will try to hurt you on the transition. But I don't know. I feel like Spurs are just going to have to rely on the wingers to be very positive, very direct. They're going to have to rely on the midfielders to take a lot of risks, as well as just be sort of quality in general on the ball. And they can't be too methodical. They have to sort of know what to do with it before they receive it. And we're also going to probably need somebody, I think, to step up with a worldie if things get really sort of kind of deadlocked and things get really sort of kind of, hopeless. It feels like we're going to need somebody to just pull off, a Romero goal, or pull off like what Emerson did, against Brentford, just sort of kind of, pull a bit of quality, just end up, bearing, what little half chance or quarter chance that gets given to you, and, use your quality to your advantage, because that's what also type of team we are. We're not sort of a team that not likes to play nice football with maybe only so many weapons. We have a lot of weapons, and these type of games, you're going to need somebody to step up and, end up just sort of scoring on their own and just sort of taking whatever half chance kind of comes their way. And Sonny might be that guy, actually, just quickly again, or maybe a Maddison too, more than maybe some of the other players. We're going to need to kind of set more of our top quality players if things get really sort of tight to do that. But it is a home game, so also the home crowd, hopefully it will help us out a lot as well.
And it's going to be good. It's going to be good practice, because we'll need these skills when we face off against Atletico Madrid in next year's quarterfinals of the European Cup. So we'll learn some lessons today.
For sure. And look, today is just about, we're going to come up with different teams. Jack said it in the members only video yesterday, the likes of Bournemouth, Burnley, other promoted teams not Bournemouth, but Burnley and other promoted teams we faced, or teams down the bottom, they have come at us. They have held a high back line. Today is going to be a different test. And, these are all tests that we have to overcome if we want to become the complete team. So hopefully we overcome it with shining colors today. The under-21s are currently up 2-0 22 minutes in as well. So that's absolutely boding well for us. So one's in the Premier League too, which is absolutely brilliant. Paul, we'll come to you, my man. We have already won 3 games on the bounce, which we failed to do at any stage last season. And if we win today, that would be 13 points from our first 5 games. It will be our best start to a league campaign since the 65-66 season. What has Ange done to turn things around?
I think he's just he's instilled belief in the players. That's the first thing he tries to do is to get the players and the people at the club to believe in him. And he's very adamant about the way he wants to play football. And I think it's great, because I think that's the sort of football that footballers, creative, artistic footballers like to play. They've been stifled a bit in recent years. We look at Basuma, and now he's just been let off the leash. And I think, for all people try and dissect Ange's tactics, and I see a lot of it post-game, where they say, and he switched this and did this. I think Ange is more of a basic principle sort of manager. So at the moment, he's going through maybe a bit more, maybe positional drills with them, but it's the basics, never stop, something simple like that. And when that gets into, players' natural flow of the game, then they really take off. We're even though we're good at the moment, we're only seeing them. And Ange just said this, that it's not like they're doing what he's telling them to do. They're getting better at it, but they're being very aware of like an inverted fullback running into the middle of the pitch. But but as time goes on, and they keep doing this, then it becomes much more instinctive, and we'll see a much more total style of football, and that's how Ange does it. You know, he's got. I mean, look at it. The whole, from what I can see, the whole of the UK is on the Ange bandwagon now, and Australia was on the Ange bandwagon years ago, and you can't do that unless you have success, and that's what Ange does. He's going to bring us success, and he's showing us how to do it. So he can't fail, man. He can't fail.
Well, Paul, next question, just a bit of a follow-up then. If we win today, how far do you believe Ange can take this?
Well, I think we could win the league. And I'm being serious here because, it's Tottenham, we don't win anything. But everywhere Ange has gone, like if you look at Brisbane Roar and Yokohama, and yeah, forget the leagues, but those were two teams that were struggling, and he won them both titles. Tottenham are in a much better position than they were. If we don't win the title this season, we are definitely going to win it next season. I've got no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And not only that, I mean, you can have FA Cups, Carabao Cups, but I think Ange, the thing that he hasn't got, I think the thing he's got his eye on is the Champions League. So I wouldn't even rule that out. But I think we're going to do it properly. We're going to win the Premier League, go into the Champions League as champions of England and Wales, and then we're going to win the European Cup.
He's a man of tradition.
Yeah, which we should have done in 1962, but we were dudded by a referee against Benfica.
He's going to make it the Cup Winners' Cup again.
No, we were in a semi-final, a European Cup semi-final in '62, but we had a bent referee. So I think the sky's the limit. Ange said, "Forget ceilings, man. Doesn't like ceilings. Crash through them. Doesn't like ceilings, walls, floors, anything. It's
putting ceilings, put limits on you, right, Paul?
Sorry?
Putting ceilings on things, put limits on you, right?
Yeah, how far can this team go? Or I don't know. The sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. It's going to be, put it this way. I wanted Ange in for a reason, but I didn't think it would be this good, this quick. So whatever I think Ange can do, he's just going to do better than whatever I could say. So if I'm saying Premier League, I don't know. It could be that we play such good football that the Premier League changed their rules and decide to give us 4 points for every win. I don't know, but it's going to be something that we don't expect anyway.
That'd be nice. But Jacko, Paul alludes to it. I do think. Actually, first of all, Paul, Ange usually takes about 5 games to get going, so I understand why you didn't think it was going to be this quick. It's even quicker than probably what he expected. But Jacko, look, it's clear that the culture from last season is starting to eradicate itself, right? We win today. We've started our best league campaign ever since '65. We've won 3 games on the bounce. We win today. That's 4 games on the bounce, which is something we haven't been able to put together over the last few years, which is a run of wins together. How far do you think Ange and this squad of players can take it? And what do you think has been the biggest turnaround for Ange that he's been able to get it done so quickly?
Wow, what a baller question from Dave there, everybody.
Bit of research. That's what I've done. That's how I get these questions. I sit there like a loser in the evenings reading.
So many layers to that one. The first one you sort of spoke about, right? Kind of the new leadership, and what does that mean? And I feel like those are linked, right? What you said, the new leadership, but them also having kind of the evidence that they are capable of, actually winning games, leading the team, getting over the line, all these sort of things are happening right now, which would make the old, leadership a bit jealous, or even, kind of make themselves, kind of, feel like, oh, maybe I'm not as important as I once, thought I am, or maybe these guys can actually lead themselves and they are capable of, doing what I thought I was so great at, the pointing, all the shouting, those sort of kind of things. And we had a lot of players that we felt like, sort of fell in that category where they weren't really our best players, but they were part of the sort of, leadership team. And it felt a bit hypocritical at times, where it's kind of like, how can you really have some of your worst performing players, be telling some of our best performing players what to do and, how to act and all these sort of things. And I think that's changed. And there is that possibility that some of the guys that are part of that old leadership group might be waiting for something to go wrong or whatever it might be, just so that they feel like, because, they're a little jealous, or, it's just human nature. And some of them I don't think are as professional as maybe they're, made out to be. And I just feel
Yeah,
like the
I
fact
agree.
that they've actually, gotten over the line, and if they get over the line today with Sheffield, I mean, it just sort of kind of sticks it to them, the old leadership group. It's also the fact that apart from Sonny, most of them are quite young, new to the club, kind of new, fresh faces, new kind of, voices in and around the team. They haven't been around 10 years like Dyer and Davies have, and they've made far more impact, have made Spurs fans feel far happier than any of those guys really have, in a long time. And so I just think it's all really good to see, Dave. And I feel like towards, the end, your question was, how far can they take it?
Yeah.
In a way, since it's sort of Anja's first season, it's a lot of these guys' kind of first season really being big players for Spurs. You sort of feel like the weight is not really, or the expectancy is not really that high on them. They can sort of, dip, a few games, and, maybe no one would really care all that much. It just feels like Spurs are kind of in that free hit kind of little moment. Whereas next season, I think you put a lot more pressure on yourself in the next season. Look at even Ten Hag, right? In his first season, did pretty well. And a lot of people, gave him a lot of praise. Next season, he loses a few games. All of a sudden, that's kind of out the window, kind of all that good credit and all that good work. And I think that's where maybe the pressure starts to come. So this season, if we are going to really go for it, definitely go for it. Because, I feel like it's a bit of a free hit sort of kind of vibe.
Oh, 100%. Just go on.
Jake, you've come a long way. You've come a long way since that, Jack. I'm not going to bring it up much. I don't want to. I don't want to.
I have been saved.
He's a convert. He's a convert, so he is. But no, do you know what? It's not only the senior team that he's done it with as well. It's the under-21s. Look, the under-17s, under-18s last year is a golden generation that stood up and gave us a bit of joy where there was none. But it's the work he's done with the under-21s. I've watched nearly all their games this year, and the ones I've missed live, I've watched back. But also, I have them here on against Brighton. And they play very, very similar to Ange Postecoglou. The way they like to play, get on the ball, it's possession with a purpose, not like Guardiola, where it's possession to bore you to sleep and then they spring an attack when you're half asleep. We have possession with a purpose. We want to go and score goals. But also, it's the pressing they do out of possession. Watching them press the ball all the way back to the goalkeeper. It's great to see. It's the effect he's starting to have over the whole club. You've heard things come out this week about the players saying it's the best team talks they've ever heard. You hear things about the staff around Tottenham Hotspur where maybe Jose and Conte didn't give them time. He gives them time, but not only that, he gives them all a lot more responsibilities and stuff like that. And we're going to go in and talk to responsibility for players. But there was a brilliant clearance from one of the under-21 players off the line there a minute ago. Absolutely brilliant. And another great block. It's lead to nothing. Sorry, go on, Paul.
Doing the watch along. Yeah, Ali Gold did a good article a few days ago about how Tottenham's using the youth players, and apparently I didn't know this, but one of the reasons we were so bad last year, apart from injuries, was that Conte would bring in the under-21s or under-23s as basically glorified traffic cones. There'd be a day before they were due to play, and they drag them in to just, be a softball. Basically one of those wire things standing on the pitch, whereas Ange is actually getting them in to play proper football with the first team, and they're loving it.
100%. And they actually, when they go up now, they'll have a chance to show what they can do, right? Because they're actually playing when they go up there. They're not just standing there as traffic cones, for shape reasons, this, that, and the other. But also, a massive part of it is the clear out we had as well. There was a lot of players there that, look, they just weren't good enough. They were never going to make it. We've cleared them out. We've kept the guys that are good enough, and we've added to it. So, very impressive. But, I did say this is what Ange Postecoglou would do at the start of summer. I put out a video about it. That watch the under-21 team, they'll be very similar to the first team. You see them play similar football, etc. And it's great to see. Another good 2-0 win here will keep us top of the Premier League too for the under-21s. And if we win today, we have a chance of going top of the Premier League as well, which is absolutely unbelievable times. Adrian Chia says, we have a lock player, a.k.a. and unlock the door, Maddison, a.k.a. Maddison, to unlock the blades. And that's exactly it, Adrian Chi. You've got that guy now who can pick up the ball from all sort of angles and still, play that ball in behind. And he's going to constantly try and probe. We have to understand, right? There's going to be times where players are trying things and it's not coming off. It's just going back to the goalkeeper. But you just got to stay calm. You got to stay patient, because what you do want is players trying things rather than not trying things. So I don't want to see anybody sort of getting on any players' backs today if it's not coming up, unless it's completely useless where it's a 5-yard pass and they can't even commit it, then get on their backs. But, a player like Maddison, his job is, there's going to be a lot of balls that come to nothing. But what you're looking for is that one or two that do come for something. So if he is trying and it's not working out, continue to back the guy to continue to try, because there's nothing worse than someone that doesn't want to try. We've had that over the last few years. Players that wanted to shirk the responsibility, pass it inside, pass it on to the next guy. So what we do want is these guys actually trying. So even if it leads to nothing, just stay patient. That's what I would say, Adrian.
I think Maddison might well have a blinder today, because, being played out of position for England, the kind of shackles were on him, and he just wants to go out and play some bloody football. So I'm looking forward to it.
And also, Solomon, he's another one.
Yeah.
Not just Maddison. Solomon, Jack, he's similar passing range and ability to Maddison, right?
I was going to ask you first, Dave. Maddison, can he be called the locksmith? Do we have a nickname for him? With what Adrian said. Also, to be fair, like, if he were to have, a side business of any kind, it does sound like very proper, Maddison locksmith. It just sounds like really old school, very traditional. So, and it just sort of suits, his game. Maybe he might have it in him. Adrian, for what Dave was saying there too with Monor Solomon, I feel like he did have a terrific game, and despite him maybe not having all sort of the assists and everything, at Shakhtar Donetsk or really at Fulham, he had like 5 key passes or something like that in that game against Burnley, which is pretty much half, I believe, of what Maddison's had so far this season. And Maddison's been one of the chief creators of anybody in the Premier League this season. So Monor Solomon, in the very few minutes that he had, did a terrific job. So I wouldn't say he has the same passing range as Maddison, but he seems to do a very good job at picking up the ball in dangerous areas. And like what we spoke about earlier, Dave, with the wingers, sometimes being a bit reluctant all the time to take on their man, I would say Solomon's not that guy. He seems like every single time he's hungry to kind of take on his man and make something happen. And that's what sort of leads to a bit of creativity, leads to something, happening, and leads to a bit of chaos. And that's what I like about Solomon. Whereas Maddison, Dave, more of a locksmith. He's going to unlock the defense.
He's not the only one in the team. Like Pepe Matasar can thread a nice three-ball. Basuma, Udogi, Porro, that ball that Porro put through to Sonny. That was just ridiculous, So, we've got more creativity and artistic talent than the Louvre at the moment. It's such a turnaround.
Leonardo da Vinci's rolling in his grave with all the creativity and that we've got. So
right, man.
Big up, Adrian Chia. Really appreciate that. But the boys are correct. It's not just Maddison. Sarr against Bournemouth, that true ball to Maddison. Porro against Burnley for Sonny. Solomon came off with 2 assists for Sonny against Burnley as well. So we've got plenty in the team that can, that can definitely look to unlock the door. Big up, Rory, my man. Hopefully the comedy's going great for you. Great to see you in the building, along with Ben. Hey, Dave, did you listen to Stone Cold? No, why? I don't get. I'm
Dave
not.
wakes up to a stone cold shower.
Dude, right. Well, I had this chat on my stream last night, and I gave Stone Cold a listen. It didn't grab me, man. I didn't.
What's
dig
it about?
Oh, it's a. Well, I think if it's
That's
the same
the guy
thing
that
as a
crashes cans and drinks them, right?
I think it's a Jimmy Barnes song, but yeah, not my bag,
okay.
man.
Okay. And then musings of a football fan. Big up, fellas. Feel we have way too much for Sheffield United today. 4-0. And Rooty Toot is gone with Spurs under 18s.
Pessimistic.
Under 18s. I thought it was the under 21s playing today. My bad. Maybe it is the under 18s. Oh, yeah, it is under 18s. Sorry. Big yourself up. But also, they beat Arsenal before the break, lad. Before the international break. They're also flying high as well.
Yeah.
So absolutely brilliant. And we played them off the park the opening, 20 minutes. We sort of sat back a little bit since, and we've given Brighton a bit more possession, but we're comfortable, my man. Absolutely comfortable. And big up there at Del Smith. Great to see you in the building. And then Colin Cross says, Paul, as you know, Ange mentor and coach was the great Puskas, whose Hungarian team smashed Billy Wright's England.
Right now, well, there's more to it than that, mate. In my mind, Ange has come home. He's come to his football home. because total football was invented by Tottenham Hotspur in the 1920s. Peter McWilliam came down from Inverness and started the ball rolling. He coached Arthur Rowe, who managed us to 51 championship. Arthur Rowe was hired by the Hungarian Football Association before the Second World War to get them going. Arthur Rowe from Tottenham Hotspur trained Ferenc Puskás, and then Ferenc Puskás trained Ange Postecoglou in 1989. So it's like a family tree of genius, straight from the source.
Yeah, Mr. Cross, you know, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Who else have we got here? Make sure I'm not missing anybody. I think I've got everyone. What's Neil Shafton saying? He says the new DOF could impact the way they are playing. However, depending on what philosophy, new DOF, possibly new staff and changes. That's the thing. That's why I don't want to change it, my man. You know, while it's working, I want to continue on the way we're operating. Okay, it's not the most conventional, but it's dragging us out of where we've been the last 3-4 years. And to change it right now when you're starting to come out of it and still got more work to do based off that model to fully come out of it, I think it's a huge risk to change it personally. Huge risk, Neil Shafton. But pick yourself up.
I think we had an all right transfer window. No DOF. Do we need one? I don't know. I think Ange can do it. You know.
I might need a DOF to get players out of here. You know, but you know, you can get me in to do that. You know, I can outlay their future to them and make sure it's doom and gloom.
All right, let's talk about your contract negotiations, Eric Dyer.
Absolutely love it. But guys, speaking of just sticking with Postecoglou, right? You know, one of the things that has come out of, you know, that article during the week about Postecoglou and the way he's managing at Spurs, Postecoglou has decided to let players stay the night before a home match with their families instead of staying at the training ground, and he allows them to make their own way in as well. They don't have to meet up anywhere. They just arrive at the stadium. They have a certain time they have to be there, and they can arrive anytime before that. Jack, we'll start with you on this one. Do you see this being a positive impact on the players? And why do you think Andrews made that change in the first place? Because it's a very sort of specific one to do.
It is a very specific thing to do. And he must not like something about that. There must be something about that he just sees, you know, being wrong or just, you know, maybe too much. It perhaps borders on, I would imagine he might think it's just a bit sort of helicopter-ish, you know, if, you know, people, you know, consider like the helicopter parenting, you know, the kind of thing where you're just kind of too much, you know, kind of too much action, too much sort of kind of attention put on these guys. Like you even one time detailed, Dave, I think, you know, the sort of accommodations that they have at the training center where for all the players has like, you know, light up, you know, sort of like, you know,
I run way to the bathroom if you wake up during the night.
Same thread count for the mattress that they have at home, you know, like all the same snacks and, you know, like, you know, dietary stuff. It's, you know, and, you know, rightfully so, you know, if they're going to make them do that, right, you want to make them feel as comfortable as possible. But the fact that they are even making them do that, stay the night before the game, you know, at the training center, do all these extra sort of kind of precautionary things, it sort of takes away maybe a bit of the, I don't know, the independence, maybe a bit of the sort of freedom, the trust even that these guys have. Like you're not even trusting that they can get there on time, that they're going to take care of their body right before the game and all those sort of things. And maybe Ange has sort of just seen that and he's like, listen, I don't want to spend the night at the training center. I want to spend the night with my wife and kids and, you know, at least be able to have a good night before I go into such a big battle and such a big contest. And I imagine he trusts his players that they are going to be responsible and do the same thing. And maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe it's just the fact he just thinks it's all too much. It's like, not like the game is gone sort of thing, but like, you know, like, this is like just too much modern football sort of stuff, you know, maybe that's what he thinks.
Interesting. Look, I actually listened to something similar being spoke about on the Peter Crouch podcast the other day. I'll get onto it in a minute. But Paul, what's your thinking behind, you know, Ange Postecoglou sort of changing that up a little?
Yeah, I think if you've been listening to what he's been saying in press conferences, he's been saying that the club gives the players all the support they need, and like he's given them the dressing room, they can sort that out. He doesn't go in there. So it's like he's given them all the tools they need, and with that comes the responsibility. So it's also a test, because if they start being a bit loosey-goosey, he's going to find them out. And I think it's a really good way of finding players out, because if they're left to their own devices and they're not willing to, do the hard work to be the best that they can and push the team forward, it's better to know that now rather than 6 months down the line when you've babied them and said, oh, have some pasta, no tomato sauce for you and all this shit. It's going to be, it's on them. And I think it's great. I think because the players that will come through, because I think some will fail and we don't know who they're going to be yet. It's early days yet, but give it a few months. One or two players might, not be able to cope with this. They might not be able to maintain their focus, and they'll be gone. And we'll get in players that can, it's self-determination. That's what Ange wants. He wants the players to do it for themselves and for the team. He doesn't have to keep badgering them and telling them everything that they, be in bed at 8 o'clock and, all that sort of stuff and drink this and drink that. It's up to them. And if they succeed, it's a much richer success than being told what to do. It's freedom. They've got the freedom to choose.
Yeah, for sure. Seems Mad says no, leave it. They probably had to pay for the hotel. Yeah, it probably came out of their wages for sure. But look, well, I was actually listening to the Peter Crouch podcast. It was interesting to hear Stephen Sidwell, Peter Crouch, and there was another guy, the other host on it. It was interesting to hear them talk about. Sidwell spoke about Jose Mourinho doing it at Chelsea, where he told the players one of the days, tomorrow you bring in the kids. Just bring them in. If you don't have kids, go and get kids and bring them in. And basically, the reason behind it was, and he basically said to them, let your missus go out for the day, do what she wants to do, etc., etc. And the whole reason behind it was, as they were saying, is, it makes the wife happy. It makes the kids happy. It creates a happy atmosphere at home. And sort of, a happy wife, happy life sort of mentality was sort of off the back of that. But also the fact that it gives, the onus is then on the players. With this move by Postecoglou, the second thing with it is the onus is on the players. Are they committed? Do they want to do the right things? And how hungry are they to win and be successful and win things? And, it's hard to measure when you're forcing players to do things. But when you give them that bit of leeway, treat them like they're an adult, you get the true measure of the character of the player. And is he the player that's in it for the money and he's out living his life before a game day? Or is he at home still doing all the right things, eating the right way, and et cetera, and geared up to still come in on the Saturday and go out and play and win football? But also, third, it's about giving them a bit of freedom and treating them like that, their age. You've got some players there who they don't want to be in that training ground complex, in the hotel. Don't get me wrong. Like Jack said, and this is true, by the way, their mattresses and their pillows are the exact same ones they have at home. They have a strip that leads them to the toilet if they wake up at night time, like an airplane strip. Honestly, it's ridiculous the comfort that's in that hotel and that. But the reality is the majority of them are going to be sitting there ringing on the phone to their missus, their kids, etc. anyway. So what's the point in it? It's only pissing them off. It's only alienating them. So I'm just letting them be free, be adults, and putting the onus on them. It's now back on them. So there's nowhere to hide. There's no excuses. But, there's multiple sort of layers and things to it. But the biggest thing is about, one thing that whatever I read about Ange Postecoglou, whatever research I've done, the one thing that keeps cropping up is family. How the family is engaged in the process with the player. They're with them all along. For instance, the way they build up to the game the day before at home, the things they need to do, the family are there to see that and everything else. They're part of the journey and aid that. Also, the way they get treated when they come to the ground, come to the games and everything else, they're a part of it. You listen to his team talks, he mentions family, this, that, and the other. He makes them realize what they're doing it all for. So that's another part of it, is so that they can actually be with their family as well, rather than be in the Tottenham Hotspur hotel, as nice as it is. But yeah, I think it's a good move by Ange Postecoglou. And what he's sort of doing is unraveling a lot of what Jose and Conte has done. which, makes the players also feel better, right? It's very smart. I wonder, has he brought back the mayonnaise and the ketchup? We need to find that out. Someone needs to ask him that question in the next press conference. But I think it's a very smart move by Ange Postecoglou for sure.
Shows he's not a yes man. If anybody believes he's a yes man, it also shows, right? It might just be something that Levy has put in as well, that he thought was a great idea, that maybe other managers thought was a great idea. And now Ange is like, you know what? I don't like this, and please, we're not doing this. And he's put his foot down on it. So it's good signs that he can put his foot down on something and make changes.
Yeah, it is. It's a great sign. A great sign. But look, let's, before we start maybe going into other areas of the starting lineup and stuff, let's have a quick discussion on Hugo Lloris and Eric Dyer. They've been left out of every 11 and the bench this season. They've been left out of every match day squad. Do you think it says a lot if they're not included again today? Or do you think they will get included today? We'll start with you on this one, Paul.
Well, Ange said nothing has changed, didn't he? He said nothing has changed. So I'd expect them not to be around on the bench. But you know what? I mean, the thing about Hugo, no, I think Foster's better. Dyer, well, it depends how his knock is, doesn't it? He's had a bit of a niggle apparently, but I don't know. Look, I was hoping that they weren't going to get squad numbers, but the fact is there were squad numbers available. So what are you going to do? They're here for another year, or at least until January. So what are you going to do? Are you going to not give them squad numbers and then?
Could we not do what United have sort of done with Jadon Sancho? You're going on a personal training plan away from all first team affairs.
I think
I would have done it, and if I'm Ange and I want them out of the squad, I wouldn't have even let them train with the first team, to be honest with you.
Look, if Ange wants them out of the squad, they'll be gone. That will happen. But at the moment, he's seeing some use in them for whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but Ange knows. If he detects any of this old leadership group trying to agitate or anything, he's not going to have it. He's not going to have it. So even though I think a lot of Spurs fans and me would have liked them to have been, cut loose or whatever, they're there, and I think Ange can cope with it.
Look, for me, I'll be honest with you. I think this is Daniel Levy getting them included in the matchday squad or in the numbers rather than Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou sat out his stall and made it clear. They weren't in any of the matchday squads in the Premier League, nowhere near the bench. And they also weren't included in the Carabao Cup game when he rotated the squad. If he had any use for Lloris or Dyer, they would have played that game, and they didn't. So that tells me Ange Postecoglou doesn't want them anywhere near the team. Then you've got the problem of, okay, well, as a club, we can't make them leave. Okay, but he ain't leaving if we're going to let them train with the first team, this, that, and the other, right? But if you send them away on special training plans away from the first team, you tell them they can only enter the training center when the first team training and everything else is over, then you come in and do your work. And if you don't come in and do your work, we'll fine you your wages. That's what the club could do. But they made it too comfortable for Dyer and Lloris to stay around. They never put any sort of pressure on them.
Yeah.
Despite Ange Postecoglou making it very, very clear with the change in leadership and them not featuring even in the matchday squad for the cup game that he doesn't want them around. Now we're in a situation where these guys can go and speak to any club outside of the UK in January and sign a pre-contract deal. So they ain't committed for this season. They're nowhere near committed for this season. They're just hanging around until they can sign on the dotted line and take half their transfer fee in cash as a signing on bonus. So for me, I don't understand it. I think it's a complete pointless exercise. And I think they should be gone. And now that we're paying up 6 months of their wages up until the January transfer window, why didn't the club pay them off? Because the club could have offered 6 months up front. They probably would have accepted, and they would have been out here and signed for someone else on the dotted line for free. But we didn't do it. Yeah. Now we're left there paying their wages. So this whole idea that we couldn't pay them off, well, we're paying them now what they're owed anyway, so we're not getting anything off.
Just to give yourself an added sort of, whenever this sort of argument comes up again, Dave, at some stage, or this discussion comes up again, should I say, just something to add to your argument, by the way, and I overheard it on Talk Sport because Jamie O'Hara was sort of complaining about, right, a lot of the treatment that Jadon Sancho was given. But they did say, like, and it sort of gives us like a clue, if you really were to be savvy about it, what you would do is actually you would get somebody from the players union, someone who represents kind of the players union, and you basically can sort of ask them what you can do kind of within reason. Like that's sort of like not really all that sort of like kind of punishable or something that they can't really do anything about, where they can go to the players union and complain. If you really were savvy, you could actually go to them and say, what can we do to pressure a player out of the club without, them being able to sort of kind of complain and, be able to kind of push back against us in any way. And, that's what they sort of had a discussion about. And so if Spurs were really savvy, they could have gone about it that way, by the way. And it's a real thing. Sometimes clubs will go to somebody from the players union and kind of see if there's, any sort of, savvy ways that they can, try to make a life a tad bit more uncomfortable for the player and whatnot. And also, though, because they do that so that they don't get in trouble, right? So they don't go too far, with kind of, pressuring them out. Because if you go too far, then they can go to the players union, etc. And then they get, fined and all that sort of stuff. But you can't go to them and figure out what's, capable within reason, kind of thing.
But the thing is, like, people go on like this hasn't happened in football. It's always happened in football. If managers don't want a player in the squad, they find a way of alienating them. It's happened forever. And the fact that, we think, oh, we can't do it, it's cruel. No, you do it. If you want to offload players, you do it. Go and listen to Aaron Bridge speak about when he was at Man City, how many players he was training with down on his own because they wanted them to leave the club. You go and speak to Jadon Sancho now, see how he feels being on the receiving end of some harsh treatment. This, that, and the other. And for me, you can't do it. We just choose not to do it. We done it with Danny Rose, right? We done it with Danny Rose. We let him rock with the under-21s or, made life hard for him. Where were the player units stepping in there? We paid off Doherty and we paid off Aurier to suit this, so that we could get them off the books, this, that, and the other, so we could progress. So I don't understand this whole nonsense, why we couldn't do it and why they're still here. If we were serious about this season and we really wanted to really help Ange Postecoglou, we would have got them gone like he wanted them gone originally, and we would have been able to act sooner and get more players in here for Ange Postecoglou to give him better strength in depth.
You would be really right, just quickly, Dave. You would be absolutely right and spot on if we find out today that they're not included in that squad. If they're not included on that bench, one or both of them, then that would show that it has been a pointless exercise to have kept them around, because then that means Hugo's the third, fourth, fifth choice keeper, I guess. What's the point of keeping him around for, that sort of scenario? And then the case with Dyer ends up being like the fourth, fifth choice center back, actually, or third or fourth, but still, right, for a team that's only going to be playing pretty much once a week. So it would show to be a pointless exercise if one, if not both of them, are left out of the bench today. Considering
100%.
I think Paul was
Neil Shafton. They haven't offered it. They never once went to offer it because Daniel Levy doesn't want to lose. He wants, he'll happily let them see out the last year of the contract and let them go for free. He doesn't want to have to give them anything. I just think it's weak. He thinks he's being a strong leader by doing that, but it's actually weak and hindering us. But look, Ange Postecoglou's already made it clear with Dyer and Lloris. The fact that they weren't even in the match day squad for that cup game tells me everything I need to know about it. We have to understand Ange can't come out and speak like, for instance, someone like me, he can't come out and say, "Well, I didn't want them a part of my squad, but they're still here." Because what service does it what purpose does it serve now? Zero. But so we have to understand some of the stuff managers saying it's 5D chess because they're thinking of a longer term vision, a bigger goal. But when you look at the actions of the last few weeks, he clearly doesn't want them a part of the team whatsoever. Mark, member for 4 months. Big up, Marky boy. Hopefully you're keeping well. Can use Dyer security in the family section.
Yeah, that's probably the nicest
he likes
role
being up in the stands, doesn't he?
That's the nicest role I've seen someone give him in the comments, actually. I've heard laundry, toilets, and being security, for the family section. That's quite a nice role that you've given him. I would take that role, Mark. I mean, it sounds quite like a cushy job, to be honest. Sounds really nice. Get to see the players' families, get to, see Pedro Porro, Emerson's family, all that good stuff. I would love that.
Well, I mean, he seems to match up in the stands, doesn't he? He likes that, and then he likes booting balls up there. So if he likes being in there,
he's pretty good at it, Dave. he's pretty parched, right? He's good at, sort of being nice and, kind of cordial with people. He'd actually be pretty good at it, be fair to him.
It's mad, yeah. I can't speak about the guy any longer. I'm moving on. If I see him on the team sheet, I'm going to scream. But look, we'll move on. Move on to bigger, brighter, better teams, and teams that actually make me smile in life, which Dyer, you failed to do. Goalkeeper. So let's get into some stats here. Guglielmo Vicario ranks third highest in the league for the post-shot expected goals, minus goals, goals allowed. That stat claims that Vicario has prevented 1.7 goals from going in. That should have been scored, Jack. How confident are you in the Big Vic?
Yes, Dave, very confident in the Big Vic. I practically gave it, one of those Big Vic celebrations when I saw that stat already. He is leading, if that sounded kind of confusing to people, which it is, post-shot expected goals. It basically is that stat that Jose Sa, if you remember that season where Jose Sa was ranked as like the best keeper in the league or whatever it was, or he won some award for being one of the best keepers in the league that season, it was because he had, I believe, one of the best post-shot expected goals sort of kind of numbers ever, which is basically some algorithm thinks that you should have conceded this many, but in fact, you only conceded this many. And it does usually reflect, a decent keeper at being able to keep goals out of the net. And Big Vic is actually leading the charts, or at least a third in the charts right now amongst keepers. And usually you see sort of kind of teams that are a bit lower down the table that might concede a lot of chances, concede a lot of shots, usually have keepers sort of kind of, higher up, there in kind of the beginning of the season. But Big Vic, it shows that Spurs have actually conceded maybe some pretty big chances this season that maybe according to the, XG, sort of hipsters probably would have gone in. But if not for Big Vic, he's done a great job in keeping it out. Let's also say too, I think Romero has had some pretty fabulous blocks too this season that I can recall that also have definitely prevented some goals from going in. But for the most part, I think Vicario has just been exactly what we needed. I think also too, he has some of the most actions outside of his penalty area, too, as well. He's been a sweeper keeper. He's been good with the ball at his feet. He's been making some crack saves. He's just been everything that we needed Hugo to be, but I think Hugo was just sort of past it. We couldn't ask him to do that, sort of thing anymore. I actually feel like in the past, Hugo had a bit of a protected role. He wasn't asked to be a sweeper keeper. Yes, he was sort of asked to play out the back, but it was really just 6-yard passes, nothing really all that complicated. And then too, he sort of had the protection of a back five, a lot of people in front of him to sort of block the shots. Whereas Vicario is going to have a lot more one-on-ones. He's going to have a lot more tricky situations where he's going to have to close down, some more difficult angles. He also is going to have to, be more of a sweeper keeper. He's going to have to make some nice passes out of possession. I just think he's going to be asked to do a whole lot more, and he's doing a great job with it.
No, I'm a big fan of Big Vic, Jack. I think he's been absolutely superb. I think he's been brilliant since he took the nets. He helped earn us that 3 points against United, some of the saves that he made and stuff like that. So, I'm absolutely happy with Big Vic. And long may it continue. A goalkeeper that's flexible, that his reactions are quick. Unfortunately with Hugo, look, great servant to the club, but his reactions weren't there anymore. He's conceding goals that I haven't seen Hugo concede in 10 years. So, we needed a new keeper, and Big Vic have come in and provided that. But the added bonus is him playing out with his feet. It actually helps our style of play because he can take that ball back to him under pressure and deliver it to a player in the same color jersey as him, believe it or not, under pressure, which is, absolutely fantastic. And it allows us to play out from the back. So, not only is it the saves he's making, but it's the adding to the style of play as well. Also, just quickly, Tottenham under-18s are beating Brighton 3-0. 2 goals from Ellis Lehan on the 4th and the 17th minute, and then Yusuf Akamarik scored on 45+1, and it is halftime there. But the under-18s are dominating Brighton in that game, which we love to see. We're winning at all age groups. I mean, times just couldn't get better as couldn't. But Paul, on to you, my man. Spurs are tied third for the fewest goals conceded with 4. However, among the leaders, Man City, West Ham, Arsenal, Liverpool, we have the highest post-shot expected goals, meaning we should have conceded more than we actually did compared to those sides. Are Spurs getting a little bit lucky in games by not conceding as much as maybe the stats would suggest we should?
I don't understand stats. But the only thing I'll say, because I really don't, man, they just, I know, like, I was born before the internet. So, XG and all that. I don't get it. All I could say is that our defence is immaculate. You know, there were people saying that Romero was a reckless player. He's got, not only has he got no yellow or red cards, he's not even got one foul. Not one foul in the four games. I mean, I suppose that's a bit of a statistic, but and Vicario's been immaculate. But you look at our back four, Udogie, the best in the league. Van der Ven, Romero, they're building one hell of a partnership. You can see there's moments in games where they're absolutely trusting each other. That relationship is growing stronger and stronger. You know, they're calling for the ball, telling each other when to leave it. They can rely on each other. And then Pedro Porro on the right, you know. Oh, Pedro Porro can't defend. Well, yeah, he can. He had a bit of a flaky 20 minutes in our first game of the season. But apart from that, he's been fantastic. So, no, it's no fluke. I don't know. What were those stats, man? What, ISG or PTA or what was it? NRA? I don't know what it was, man. But
sounds like government organizations.
The way we play speaks for itself. You know, to concede so few goals while you're in their half of the pitch, and this is a misnomer I think that people have about what they call Ange ball. I think that's like, oh crap, it's just football. Is that you're going to concede goals? And I've said this before, but last year Celtic scored 114 goals and let in 34. Their goal difference was plus 80. Now you can't do that just by having a good attack. It's because they had Cameron Carter-Vickers and Starfelt. Two centre backs played nearly every game, and if we've got Van der Ven and Romero and they keep the way they're going, then we're not going to let in goals.
True. Jack, anything you want to say off the back of that?
I think Paul spoke a lot of sense there, and probably most people will agree with him than maybe what I might say. I do feel like Spurs have maybe conceded more bigger chances, should I say, than maybe other teams have. And part of that stat might have come from the Man United game, where, let's be honest, they missed two ginormous sitters. Bruno Fernandes missed a pretty big... Brilliant. And then and he missed that sitter very lackadaisically. And then who was it? Rashford, right? Missed a sitter that was also very lackadaisical. And that was also from Bruno, one of those nice little dinked crosses. And to be honest, when he played that, I don't think, we could have done anything about that. That was just sheer quality, what he had done there. But then we did sort of get away with it on two occasions. So you might say that that sort of often is what contributes to sometimes those stats. So I think Big Vic has done a very good job in keeping, some of the goals out. But it could be, too, that some of the goals have just been simply missed that they probably should have buried. And I would say, too, maybe, I don't know, maybe Brentford, you would say Mbuemo, too, also had pretty much an open net at one stage. He could have, made the scoreline a bit different. I don't think the game would end up being different. I think we deserved at least a draw in that match, but he still had an open net. So maybe that's where the stats coming from, Dave, is there have been some occasions where there's been that open net or pretty, easy tap in and they've missed it. But part of the game, like it's just, it's not our fault that they're missing the chances. It's not our problem.
What I will say is I don't think there's go on, Paul.
Ange Postecoglou said he never popped the champagne cork for a clean sheet, and neither will I.
Well, Romero, Big Vic, and Van der Ven looked like they wanted to last week when they were celebrating keeping the ball out of the back of the net. But
it's good to see, isn't it? Good to see.
Paul, but this is what I've been saying for a long time, right? When I spoke about Darren Sanchez before, when I've actually, gone into them and about the game and stuff, I've spoke about you want defenders that love defending. They celebrate keeping the ball out of the back of the net like they do, like strikers do scoring a goal. It's an art. You have to want to do it and you have to love it. We've now got players that love it, right? You see that. Whereas before with other players, they were that scared of making a mistake. They actually hated defending. They couldn't stand it. They were nervous. They were rickety. But not only that, they couldn't play on the football. You look at Romero backheeling the ball around the place. The Ven, come and press me. I'll just skin you and drive into midfield. No problem. Udogie, whatever you want to do, come and press me. I'll play around you or I'll skin you. Pedro Porro, same thing. Yeah. Oh, you want to press the goalkeeper? No problem. Big Vic, just pop it over you straight into the fullback. No problem whatsoever. But I'm just glad. Honestly, I said this during the watch along to you last week, Jack. The feeling that gave me when Romero, Van der Ven, and Vicario were all with the same expression on their face, with the fist pumped, that's what I want to see from my defenders. And we should never, ever, ever accept anything less. And what that showed us should show us that what we've seen over the last 3-4 years is not acceptable in a Tottenham jersey ever again. Never again. But the big chances you're talking about that teams have missed, Jack, I do understand that. Look, that's the benefits of buying in Vicario, right? Someone that's there to stop them. What I will also add to that is there's going to be very few teams that will actually punish us and take them chances.
Yeah,
you're talking about Man City, they'll take every single one of them. Liverpool probably take every single one of them. Potentially Arsenal, maybe. But outside of that, there's not too many teams that are actually going to punish us or take them chances. Because the lower down you go, the more chances the striker needs to be able to put one in the back of the net. So, look, it'd be interesting.
Those were good teams that missed those chances too, right? Those were good teams that missed those chances. That's a good point, right? It's not going to get much better than those teams that missed those chances. That's a fair point.
But look, the next couple of games, Arsenal, Liverpool, teams like that, it'd be interesting to see. It'd be very interesting to see how we hold out. Big up DJ Samuel, member for 11 months, my brother. Great to see you. Living it up in North London. Come on, you Spurs. Let's get after it, man. I'm absolutely pumped. Guys, we're going to go for about another 10, 15, 20 minutes. If you have enjoyed the stream, it's the first time I've asked today. Please smash that like button. It greatly helps us out with the algorithm. We're the underdogs out there. We want to be the top dogs, and you can help do that by smashing that like button. Right now, we're on the ropes, and I'm like Tyson Fury, dodging and weaving. So, you want me to land that counter punch, smash that like button. Also, feel free, if you like the work we do here, the effort that we put in with the graphics and everything else and all the match day content we provide, feel free to grab a membership. Just a small fee every single month goes a real long way to helping your boys being able to sustain this and grow this. Or send in a super chat with your thoughts, with your opinions. We'll openly discuss them like we've done earlier on in the show with so many Dark Sun G, Moondog, Dermatron, Adrian Chia, people like that. Get them in and we'll discuss them. But most importantly, it's a great way to support everything we do here. So big yourselves up. But if you could do that like button, that is the free one. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, Paul had to bring him up. Pedro Porro delivers UK-wide. Sheffield is next in his mail list, Jacko. And, he's the warden of his own prison. That's what we like to see. But he has been in flying form this season. He can create goals. He can score goals. He's getting even better defensively, which, this is what I love about him, right? You've heard people before just make excuses about mistakes, not being able to defend, right, in the press. But you hear Pedro Porro coming out, look, I've never really been asked to do it, but I am going to learn it, and I'm going to make sure I'm good at it. And you're seeing the results of it on the football pitch. But still, Jackie, I still find at times he still has a little bit of learning to do. Do you see similarities between his game and Trent Alexander-Arnold's, but maybe Porro a bit better defensively?
Yeah, so this is my question, everybody. And I know it sounds a little crazy to make this sort of connection, but I thought about this the other day. Like, Pedro Porro has at times, right, I think just sort of completely wowed me with, his absolute accuracy with the deliveries that he can play in any situation. It's not just a cross. It can be a shot. It can be a ball over the top, just a simple pass. Like, the guy is really so technically gifted and he strikes the ball so well. He just seems like such a beautiful technician of a player and just happens to play right back. Like, he just seems like a guy that's just very good at football, but just happens to be right back. And I sort of describe Trent kind of the same way, where he's just an exceptional player, can, hit the ball, better than almost anybody else, strikes it better than anybody else, plays, whatever he wants, but seems to have, sort of a weird thing with what position is really best for him. What's his real position? Where does he really fit in? And Pedro Porro, I sort of think is a similar guy, where you kind of have to find a position for him because he's so good on the ball, because he can make things happen. But he is also kind of like a Trent, where he might have that sort of, lapse in concentration defensively, maybe could get, bullied a bit physically, but he just has, just this ability and just sort of this intensity to him that I just think you can't really leave him out really unless you feel like, you have to with maybe, like a real threat down the left. But I don't know, Dave. I just think Pedro Porro, his delivery is the fact that he can shoot as well. He has, set piece threats. He's really good, crossing, really good corners, really good sort of, he can score, free kicks as well. I actually think he's sort of Spurs's version of a Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't know what people think of that. Maybe it's a ridiculous stretch and a ridiculous connection to make.
No.
But I see a lot of similarities in the game, like the set piece threat to the shooting to the deliveries. It's all sort of kind of reminds me of him. And it's the fact that he does it with such pinpoint accuracy, kind of like what Trent does, at times. And that's what, I don't know. That's Pedro Porro.
No, I agree. I do think
you have to put him in the team. He's that good. Sometimes.
I do think there's similarities there, Jack, for sure, Look, Trent Alexander-Arnold, before he stepped into that Liverpool team, he was actually a midfielder. He's been asked to play a right back in, a position that he's never played in the academy growing up through. Pedro Porro, he's now being asked to play a position he never really played in, on his way through either. So, for me, I think there's a lot of similarities, but also on the ball, Jack, the way they play, right? It's like having, a centre midfielder there or a winger who's really technically gifted. Absolutely unbelievable. And he's miles better than what we've seen in years gone by. The likes of Doherty, Aurier, people like that. This guy can actually do it all on the ball. And absolutely huge credit. I do think there's a lot of similarities, although I do think he's better defensively than Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jack. I would say
already.
that.
Nice
Val
one.
Pinder says Porro's new nickname, Postman Porro, delivers every time. That he does, my man. That he does.
Never fails.
Also, Tottenham under-18s have gone 4-0 up. Oliver Iro has scored. Absolutely loving it. They're absolutely obliterating Brighton here today, the under-18s. And then Ben Blackman says, Dave, please stop this negative feedback. What negative feedback? What negative feedback? I don't get. If you're talking about Dyer and Lloris, I mean, they're still here. I wanted them gone, so I didn't have to speak about them. They're still here. They made the squad. It's something we have to speak about, whether I like it or not. It's something you have to speak about. If it's anything else, I'm more positive than most people out here. So, I mean, I get called deluded on a regular basis. So if it's to do with anything else, you can't give out to me for negative feedback. That's just absurd. Anyway, let's keep moving. Paul, will come back to you on this quickly because I know you had a bit to say on it earlier. But there was a lot of debate this summer around Romero's abilities as a centre-back, but there seems to be a real push in the Argentinian media to get him recognised as one of the world's best centre-backs, if not the best centre-back. And you can see why he's been crucial to Argentina for their Copa America success, the World Cup success. So the question I put, is Romero one of the best centre-backs in world football, or is there a disparity in performances that he puts in for Argentina than he does for Spurs?
No, well, like Ange Postecoglou said, I'm not going to argue with Lionel Messi. If he reckons he's the best, isn't he? And look, I don't know. I mean, I thought, any debate over Romero was just ridiculous. He was clearly our best defender last year under really difficult circumstances. And now that he's got players around him that he can, rely on, and they can rely on him, look how good he is. I mean, like I say, him and Van de Ven are forming an incredible partnership, and they're not conceding too many free kicks. Romero hasn't conceded any. I'm not sure about Van de Ven. I know Van de Ven's just done tackles where his legs materialise through the attacking player's legs, and he gets the ball, stands up and kicks it off. I mean, he's just bonkers good. So no, and I like the cut of Romero's jib. He's committed to the club. He's committed to Spurs. And maybe Ange has got something to do with that, because maybe he would have left if things were different. And I think he's playing really well for us. And you need a good back line. You need a good couple of big buggers in central defence. Otherwise, because if we saw it last year. So if you've got Sanchez and Dyer and they start being weak, then all the other outfield players, they haven't got the confidence, have they? They can't do anything. They can't express themselves because they're always looking over their shoulder. But with those two, we're looking at another Miller and Roberts, or Mabbott and Goff kind of, or Yan and Toby. There's no good teams going that don't have a good pairing in centre back. I mean, real dominating. and I think it's a good foundation we've got there. So yeah, all this talk about Romero being whatever absolute crap at the time, and now it's shown to be even more ridiculous now.
Look, there seems to be a massive push by the Argentinian media to get him recognised and get his talents recognised, and rightly so. I don't think one thing that was spoken about enough is Romero was the only one making challenges last year. So if you're the only one, it's very easy to look like you're too aggressive. Dyer didn't make any. Sanchez didn't make any. Anyone on the left-hand side didn't make any. The midfield weren't making any, and the forward line weren't making any. So if you're the only one making challenges, it's easy to look that you're too aggressive. Now, also, I've no doubt part of it with Romero is I may as well just chop them down now because if the ball goes beyond me, it's going in the back of the net. So he was, I've no doubt that was a part of it. Take them out now. Also, probably getting pissed off at others not making challenges. Okay, you don't want to do it, I'll go and do it. Sometimes players will make a challenge like that to get everyone else pumped up around them to start doing it. But obviously others around them didn't. But for me, I've always said it. I think this guy is a brilliant defender. I think he's world class. I went early on We Are Tottenham TV. I said he's better now at this age. And I said this, I think the season when we got Champions League under Antonio Conte than what Virgil van Dijk was at that age. And I think he's better on the ball than someone like Virgil van Dijk is as well. I think he has every everything in him to be able to go and be a top class, world class centre back. Look, aerially, you can't make the guy any taller. Might suffer a bit here and there in that. But everything else about his game, I think, is absolutely world class. And I also spoke about the benefits of a partnership, how important a partnership is. You look at Jan Vertonghen. He only went on to become the Jan Vertonghen we know when Toby Alderweireld came in beside him. Before that, he was a good centre-back. But when Toby came in beside him, it took him to a new level. You look at Romero now. He's got Van de Ven in beside him. So he knows if that ball goes by him, Van de Ven can cover him. And he also trusts Van de Ven. He's got the pace and he will tackle. So Van de Ven can cover him if that ball goes in behind him. So he doesn't need to take them down now at every single opportunity. But the partnerships, especially at centre-back, is absolutely crucial. If you're going to meet a player, you have to trust that your partner is reading the game and covering for you or keeping an eye on other runners running in behind you. You have to trust that. You have to be able to communicate that with him as well. Now, look, honestly, communicating with Dyer is like communicating with a concrete door at times. So I don't blame him. You look at Van de Ven. The partnership, look how good it's going to be. And I've always spoke about, you improve this back line with the talent we've got in the midfield and up front, you will go on and win games of football. I've always maintained that. I said the biggest thing we have to learn coming into this season is learning to keep clean sheets and keep the goals that we're conceding down because we score enough goals to be able to take us to where we want to go to. Now that we're keeping clean sheets, hey presto, even in tight games, we're getting over the line and winning them. So hopefully now everyone recognizes how important a back line and a good goalkeeper is in modern day football, because I get it. We all like the exciting players, this, that, and the other. But we can never overlook the importance of keeping goals out. Never. Never.
No. Jack, it's like you were saying, Dave, like Romero is a fantastic footballer. He's got good ball control, can knock out a pass, and he absolutely loves defending. It's not like a demotion. I think like Dyer, I used to play in midfield or whatever. He loves being there and saving our skins.
Romero. Sure. I think Dave's honestly covered so much of that, and I think just one thing we are learning though is any good defender can be made to look bad, by a poor partner, someone that's not meant for them, someone that just isn't good enough. Like anybody can be made to look poor, especially at the Premier League level where you're coming up against top quality forwards, top quality attacks with very good sort of passing patterns and just sort of sequences. And you are going to get undone by it. You can't do it all on your own. He also didn't have a great goalkeeper, I feel like, behind him last season either, Cuti Romero. And so it just sort of all boiled up into him kind of just being out on his own there. And it led to maybe some poor decisions on his part, but you're bound to make poor decisions when you don't have a partner next to you that's not making great decisions either. And I think part of it too, Dave, that you went in with is that trust he didn't have. I think he sort of just lost that trust that I think Dyer and other players were going to make that challenge. We're going to be able to do the right thing. Whereas now he's getting that back with Van de Ven. He trusts that Van de Ven is going to make the right decision. He trusts Van de Ven is going to make the right pass. He's going to make the right challenge, etc. And maybe at one stage, Romero really lost that sort of trust in his fellow defenders. And I don't blame them because we were conceding goals at a healthy rate. So he probably had to sort of start questioning like what the hell is going on here. And when that situation arises, you're going to end up, making questionable decisions yourself. But we had to look at the overall quality. And also we quickly forgot about how good of a season he had in his first season. He had a tremendous first season, and we forgot about that very quickly, it felt like.
Yeah, very, very, very quickly. We know that there's a player in there. But like I said, if he's the only one making challenges, it's easy to pull him out for being too aggressive. Yeah. I actually argued the counter. I was like, I want everyone else to be as aggressive. Paul, I don't know whether I should read it out now because you called me a cheater. I don't know why you've called me a cheater. Explain why you've called me a cheater. But you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person here, and I will read it out. But explain why you call me a cheater, because I don't like that. I'm very, very genuine, very honest. I'll bring up people's comments, no problem, and read them out and call them out. And if people ask me nicely, no problem, I'll do it as well.
Even cheat in
you
FIFA.
Don't need to revert to call me a cheater. So I want to know why you call me a cheater. Paul Bean says, Van de Ven's move to the club reminds me of what Toby did for Jan. Jan was trending down before we got Toby. Once Toby got there, Jan went back to the being incredible. Van de Ven is doing the same for Cutie. Absolutely spot on. By the way, I did say in the Welcome to Tottenham video, Van de Ven is very similar to Jan Vertonghen, the way he plays, the way he moves, the way he defends, and everyone's starting to say it now. So I think it's about time we started calling him Van der Tongen. Great compromise.
He's saying, I think you guys are on the same wavelength. So he's saying, like you said, you guys said the same thing. And then he said, damn, David just posted that. He was like, damn, David just posted that.
No, look, I've always spoke about the partnerships, how crucial it is. I spoke about it for quite some time now. Anyone that's listened to me for the last 3 years would have heard me speak about it. But no, look, you're absolutely spot on. Van de Ven has come in, but the big part is Romero can trust him. Romero looks at him and goes, fuck me, what a player we've got on our hands here. So he doesn't need to be responsible for him. He can trust him. He can trust him with the ball. He can trust him defensively, So that's what it's all about. And long may it continue. Hopefully we don't get an injury in that area, Paul. But big yourself up, my man. Now I get it. No worries at all, brother. No worries at all. I was looking to be offended and you offended me. But look, guys, I did want to talk about Maddison, but Jack, we can talk about him in the build-up to the watch-along. How impressive he is. No, do you know what? Fuck it, we'll go for it. James Maddison, Jacko, has been voted by agents as the best signing of the summer.
Dave, you're doing so well. You're doing so well. It's an hour and 50 in, and it took you an hour and 50 in to throw 2 fucks out there. So well done, man.
It's probably this lad. The missus walked in and handed me a can of this, so it's probably that. It's Monster Energy for anyone that wants to know. But it's probably all the sugar that's coming into the system, Paul, getting ready for the match. Come 3 o'clock, I'll be absolutely bouncing off the walls. So Jacko, James Maddison is tied 3rd highest with Joachim Anderson in the league for progressive passes. Plenty of managers seem to have played Maddison a lot higher up the pitch and looked at him as more of an attacking sort of midfielder or more of an attacker. Was giving James Maddison the license to drop deep and start moves from deeper and master stroke to get the best out of him? Or was it done out of necessity because teams copped on very quickly with Bissouma?
Wow, very good. It's absolutely probably that latter part too. I think it did have to do with that, right? He needed somebody that's just equally as good on the ball that can drop deep and sort of make things happen. But I do feel like it has been a masterstroke by Ange in allowing, Maddison to be given this license, to be given this sort of trust, to be more of a regular kind of number 10 midfielder and a 3-man midfield centrally. It felt like before at Leicester, he was sort of thrown out onto the right, thrown out into sort of winger type roles. I've seen before, even at Norwich, it felt like, he was kind of given different sort of kind of attacker type, roles, even just with, I think England, right? He was playing on the left, Southgate decided to play him on the left wing. And for some reason, some managers seem to see Maddison as more of an attacker than they really do as a midfielder. And I think Ange has decided to treat him more as a central, kind of creative midfielder. And he's absolutely getting his rewards for it. And it's probably because I think Maddison has that ability on the ball to just sort of spin his man, link up a pass, break the lines, just sort of all on his own, similar to what Basuma does. And that's a really good point that you sort of brought up with that sort of latter part there, Dave. I just think Maddison, has, you sort of said too, right? You feel like we knew Maddison was good, but some of us didn't know he was even this good, right, of a player. And I think that's because of this new role he's been given, this role, this trust, this sort of system is bringing out all the best parts in him. And when you're bringing out all the best parts of a player, you really do get to see how good they really are. And I think we're seeing that right now with Maddison. I think before we only got to see some of his best parts because he was sometimes thrown out into various positions where maybe they didn't suit him as much. He still performed quite well and got great numbers, but didn't exactly suit him as much as it could have. And I think that's what Ange has done here, Dave. And he's, given us an even better, sort of glimpse of what this guy is capable of now playing in this kind of new role.
But it still takes the foresight to do it, though, Jack, all right? He could have tasked Papa Matsar to come back and do that. He didn't. He tasked Maddison to come back and do it. So it still takes that foresight and that vision. So what you're saying there about, him sort of, it is a masterstroke because he could have got someone else to do it. The fact that he's got Maddison to do it is brilliant. So, fair play to answer for Postecoglou from that. And I do think you're seeing Maddison probably adapt his game a bit more, where he's showing he can get on the ball deeper and he can play, he can make it work, he can get attacks going. So you're absolutely spot on there.
One of the best signings of the summer is because of Ange. I think it's partially because of Ange. It's also because Maddison's that good, but it's also because Ange has given him this role where he's going to give Maddison the best chance to be the best possible player he can be in this role, and Maddison's taking it straight away. So that's absolutely why he looks so good.
Absolutely, and long may it continue. He's been absolutely brilliant for us, and long may that start continue, because I do know Leicester fans used to complain about Maddison's performances coming back off international duty. So it'd be interesting to see if there is that sort of hangover or not. I've heard a lot of Leicester fans complain about that in previous years gone by. So it'll be very, very interesting. But just quickly, as someone's saying Dave's going for a Munster sponsorship. No, I'm not.
Yeah, but you're gonna be a bit pissed off, playing for England, then coming back to play for Leicester. I mean, it is a bit of a come down, isn't it?
True. Although they do have a 9-hole golf course there at the training complex, so I'm not sure if it's that much of a come down. Modern day training complexes, it's going to drive Paul mad. But look, we don't actually have any sponsorships. But who made that comment about the Munster? Where is it? Corby, my man. Look, you guys are the ones that have the power to help us get sponsorships. Pick a sponsor. Let us know who it is, and then get everyone behind it, tweeting them every day. Everything they post, get underneath it with IrishHotspur, to the point where they have to come and look, and then they have to sponsor us. In fact, what we want to do is put them in a position where we'll go, Dave, Jack, we'll sponsor the Irish Hotspur if you get your followers to leave us alone. So if we can get it to that point, that's what we want. That's the goal. So everyone else, please out there, help us on that journey. Pick a sponsor and do it. We actually want them to beg us to tell you guys to leave them alone. That's where we want to get to, guys.
Just on James Maddison there, the way he and I don't know if this is something Ange just told him to do or not, but he's a guy that wants the ball, and he's very comfortable getting the ball no matter what the circumstances are. He knows he's got the skill to do a half turn or whatever. And it's so refreshing to see midfielders do that, because Basuma's done it from time to time, as opposed to last year where the defence would be, trying to get the ball out up to the midfield, and it would just go to the midfield like skip, and it just go back to the defence again. Whereas now we've got midfielders who can grab the ball from deep in their own half and just run up the pitch with it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see. But also the defenders can also do the same, Paul, So you've got a good pitch there, It's not constantly you're asking for the midfielders to drop back, take the ball off them nice and deep and play. It's only out of necessity over the first 10, 15 minutes if teams press us and we're finding it hard to get out. The Ange really gets them to do that. But apart from that, you look at our players, defenders, the full-backs, the centre-backs, they can all play, they can all run with the ball. So we don't actually ask them to do it 100% of the time either, which is crucial. Absolutely crucial. The under 18s are still beating Brighton 4-0 with ease. Oh my God, this guy, Jesus Christ, I think he wants to be Mikey Moore's twin the way he's grabbing out of him. It's absolutely a joke. It's like that film Stuck on You. Ridiculous, but he was still going. 1 second. He cuts in. Go on. No, he passes it off. He should have had a shot. That would have been reminding me of gigs for United in the FA Cup all them years ago. But Jacko, front three, my man, what do we do with it? Do we stick with the same front three or would you change it up today?
I think you stick with the same one. Too many players in fine form. Sonny scoring a hat trick. I mean, you just can't leave the guy out of the team. And if you were to make a change and try to fit Richarlison in the team, then that means you would throw Sonny probably on the left, but then you're pushing Solomon out of the team. And Solomon had such a terrific game. So that would be pretty unfair up to the kid. So I just think you have to continue with the same team, unless maybe you would consider a change for Kulusevski, but I really wouldn't. I think Kulusevski's been playing fine enough, not really to be dropped yet, actually. And he's also been very creative. I would like to see him get a goal maybe and sort of be a bit more ruthless with his chances, but still been very creative nonetheless. And I don't think he's been playing nearly as bad, to be dropped or anything like that. So I think you stick with the same front three. And then if things aren't going well, definitely think about an early substitution of Richarlison, get him into the game nice and early, and give him all the time in the world to see if he can make an impact or try to score. And I think he's also somebody that will come on, right, with a lot of energy, crowd, behind him, you hopefully, think too, and he could definitely maybe get his rewards. And so I say he's continue with the same front three, Dave. It's just too many players in good form in that front three. It'd be bad to drop them, at least in my opinion.
For sure. Matt's the data engineer says, why do you support Spurs? Because my dad, my man. Absolutely love it. Big up, brother. But Paul, front three today, are we keeping it the same? Solomon, Kulu, Son?
Yeah, well, I mean, they look nicely balanced as well as being effective. There was a nice sort of balance there. I mean, the whole team at the moment looks balanced, but so once it's clicking over, then you only make a change to make it better. And maybe at some stage we might see Johnson coming in for Kulu or something like that. But I'd be happy with the front three the way they were, and bring Richarlison on for the last half hour or something like that. See what he can do. But no, I thought Solomon, Son, and Kulusevski were fantastic.
Yeah, so did I. I think, look, Solomon, you've got to start him today. I think, what sort of message do you send out to the guy if you don't start him today? 2 assists off the back of the last game. You can't really drop him. I know there's some people out there that would like to see Richie start up front today, and I know there's an argument about it, a game that's being suited him. But look, he's not right mentally. And being brutally honest, you can't drop Son after scoring a hat-trick. I don't think he's going to get the same space to run into like he did last week. But you can't take him out of that striker role after scoring a hat trick, and it's a real opportunity for Son. Before I think Son's always sort of been in Kane's shadow, but now Son is the undoubted main man at Tottenham. It's a real opportunity for him to go and grab that and run with it and really be recognised. So I don't think he drops Sonny. Kulu, I think's position is most under threat actually. Look, he's the hardest run in the Premier League. Stats will tell you that. The best running stats in the Premier League, which shows how hard he's working out of possession. But in possession, it's not quite clicking yet. I do think he's getting better. But now with the added pressure of Gill coming back from injury, Brennan Johnson on the bench, Veliz now arriving at the club as well, there's a lot of pressure on Kulusevski to deliver now. So he's got to have a good game today in my books. But I don't think you drop him today and start Johnson. I think Johnson comes off the bench and gets minutes that way. I don't think he starts today. But that's where I'm at with the front three. I think that's how it goes. I don't think you can drop them, right? Scoring 5 goals, you want to breed confidence. You want to keep breeding that creativity and everything else. You put the same one out there until they prove otherwise. Just quickly, do we think we're going to see Johnson or Veliz off the bench today? Veliz, of course, training this week with Tottenham Hotspur, so he's in the first squad. He's up there training with the first team. He's not down with the under-21. So do we see a Johnson and a Veliz debuts off the bench? We'll go with you first, Bob.
I think Johnson's more likely, but I mean, I'd be happy to see both of them. I mean, when the team sheet comes out, if Johnson and Veliz are on there, I mean, that'd be awesome, wasn't it? So, who knows, man? Who knows? I think, I saw a couple of comments there about Sonny as the number 9. I'd agree. I think he's a class player, and I agree with you, Dave. He's under he's out from under the shadow now, and we can see what he can do. I think like if we see that we're having trouble to break down Sheffield United, like if they're playing 11 men in the box, like Brentford did, then it's isn't it brilliant that we've just got options that you think, okay, I'm happy with any of this, any combination, or when we bring on subs, it's like you're excited. It's like I remember, back when I used to go and see Spurs, and Paul Walsh used to be a bit of a super sub. But you'd be excited to see him, So having a player like that, a Brennan Johnson or a Valise come on, I'll be pumped.
I also too, Valise. He looks tall. He looks strapping. He's
how tall is he, Jack?
He's like 6'3", 6'4", I think, something like that. He was as tall as Richarlison by the looks of things when he was standing in the photo. Very talented, but I don't see him probably starting. I do actually see maybe more of a Brennan Johnson being given maybe a chance today. If not Brennan Johnson, maybe Brian Hill actually might be given that chance to come back into the team again. We'll see, but it's probably going to be more likely Brennan Johnson. I don't see Valise being given that chance, sadly, but I would love to see him be given a chance at some stage. And it is saying something that he is training with the first team, instead of training with the under-21s. He could train with the under-21s if he wants to. He's been registered to the list, but I guess either Spurs rate him highly enough or they're giving him enough of a chance, to see if he can actually play with the big boys.
And look, you're only ever going to really know unless you throw him out there, right? So look, I think if we can get a good advantage today, it'd be interesting, because then where does Richie play if you want to bring him off the bench today? Then if you want to play Valise, because he's an out-and-out striker, he ain't going to do well on the wings at all. So what do you do with Richie then? And look, it'd be very interesting, but these are all good headaches for Ange Postecoglou to have. So we'll wait and see what happens. Tim Kirby, big up Tim, my man. Let me know whereabouts in the UK you're from. He says, pick one sponsor from 3, TikTok, House of Falco, or Top Gun Academies. I'm not sure what House of Falco is. Does anyone know?
I wish I knew what those other two were, Tim, other than TikTok. Top Gun Academics does sound fun to say. House of Falco also sounds very fun to say. I wish I knew anything of those two. I must say TikTok, not on TikTok, but I can easily get on it and easily go with it if need be. But I'm going to go for Top Gun Academics. Educate the youth. I'm assuming that's, I don't know what it's about. I'm just going to say Top Gun Academics. I'm going to go for that. Sounds fun to
say. Paul, you?
I've no idea what any of them are. So, I know what TikTok is a bit, but I don't know. I'm trying. I'm like you, Dave, with Monster. I'm trying to get. All it would cost to be like a can of Coke every day. I'm trying to get one with Coca-Cola because that's my favourite soft drink. But they ain't come knocking yet.
Thank you, Tim.
Look, TikTok. I'm not on it. Many people telling me I should be on it. I'm not on it. I don't like new things or change. It takes me about 5 years after everyone else to eventually do things. I'm not sure what House of Falco is, but I do like the sound of Top Gun Academics. So we'll go with that, my man. Top Gun Academics. Let me know what one you think out of them 3, though, Tim. Answer me back, my man. Let me know what one you think. Big yourself up, though. Really appreciate it.
What was the right answer?
Yeah, what was the right answer? Corby says, Dave, Red Bull just called with a counter offer to your monster deal. I say we take it. I don't like Red Bull, and I stand my ground. I'm a man of principles. Don't want Red Bull as a sponsor. Don't like them.
I love it, Dave. He's not gonna take money from anybody. He's
no, definitely not.
Neither, same here, man. Pepsi can go and shag themselves. It's Coca-Cola or bust.
Man of principles, man of principles.
Pepsi just unsubscribed.
Then Tequila says David should do those dancing TikTok vids. Honestly, I don't think anyone wants to see them, my man. Although, if you do, let me know. Not that I'm going to do them for you, but let me know if you do want to see it. But look, we'll end it off there. We'll go around, get everyone's score predictions, and find out where you can find these people. Guys, make sure you tune back in at 2:30 today for the watch along with myself and Jacko. I've blew them stats up, enlarging them, so you will be able to see them a lot more clearer this time round, I hope. So make sure we see you back here at 2:30 today. But Jacko, anything else am I forgetting?
Catch us for the watch along, please. Made some slight adjustments, like Dave said, so you can be able to see the stats. Hopefully just have a lot of fun with you guys, celebrating what hopes to be a lot of goals as well. We will be doing the post-match streams and all that sort of stuff as well, so do take a look out for that. And everybody grab a bite to eat, grab some coffee, whatever it is you need, grab an extra beer, get yourself ready for Ange Ball. It's so close. We're so near. And Dave, my score prediction, I feel like Sheffield United actually haven't scored all that many goals, but they haven't actually come up against the mighty Tottenham Hotspur yet. So I'm going to go for, if it is, I could see it being tight in the beginning, but I could see one of the goals sort of kind of just opening the floodgates. So I'm going to say 4-0 actually, but I could see it being tight. I could see it being a tight game where it's a little bit difficult. I also just feel like one of those goals could open up the floodgates as well. We're kind of like Sheffield United's head sort of drop. Kind of goal where they just feeling, what, we're not getting into this. And then all of a sudden we start free firing the goals because we never stop.
Exactly. But look, it all depends how quickly we get that first goal. I think the first goal, if they can come in early inside the first half, I think we smack them because that means they have to come out and play then. Team Kirby getting back to us saying, Top Gun Academics is the right answer from Pembroke Dock. Absolutely
Nice
love that, my man. I'm going to have a look at it after all the match day festivities today. I'm going to have a look a bit more into Top Gun Academics to see exactly what it is. But big up, Team Kirby. Whereabouts in Pembroke Dock? Is that in London, my man? Is that in London? Let me know. Let me know, brother. Also, everybody. Oh, no, actually, we'll go to Paul first. How dare I? Paul, what's your score prediction? And where can people find you, brother? A lot of people loving your input today. Where can they find you?
Well, people can find me at Hotspur Hippie. Easy to search for. You just type in Hotspur Hippie and you get there to my YouTube channel. It's just me. My score prediction, I almost gave it away because at the beginning I said 6-0, but you two guys have got me so pumped up. I think that's too pessimistic. I'm going to go 7-0. I think we're just going to absolutely don't look. When an Ange Postecoglou team starts getting going, they start thumping out hidings, man, because as you said, we never stop. When we were 3-0 up at Burnley, we didn't stop. We stopped after 5 a little bit, Yeah. Ange is not going to be having that. So 7-0.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And do you know what? I think he would have spoke to them about slowing down
Absolutely,
against Burnley.
man.
For sure he would have. I definitely agree with that. But everybody, please get over to Hotspur Hippie. The channel link is here. Just click on it. Get over. Smash that subscribe button. Paul is always very generous to your boys, Dave and Jack, about giving up time. But also for you guys to come on, speak to you guys and have conversations with you guys. So please get over there and reciprocate that love. Make sure you get over and smash that subscribe button. I like playing a game every day. Guess where Paul is? Especially when he's short uploads. So it's like, I wake up, where's Paul today? Fishing, rock climbing. And I think it's a rock climbing day. And then I tune in and it's a fishing day, but get over there and check it out. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. It's great stuff. The only psychedelic football show on the internet.
The only psychedelic soccer show on the internet, man. You've got it. Hey, well done, David. So thank you very much, man.
Get over and check that out. He's absolutely brilliant. But guys, that's it from us here. What I would say to you guys is you've got plenty of time. You've got about an hour and a half before kickoff. So that gives you enough time to get a nice triple-decker gourmet sandwich together, along with a Scotch egg, a pork pie, maybe a chocolate bar and a few jellies that will last you from, the half an hour before the game to half time. And, of course, make sure your beverage of choice is in the fridge, ice cold, ready to go, because the temperature is about to be turned up on Ange Ball. Let's bloody go. I cannot wait. Come on, you Spurs. In the mighty Ange we trust. We never stop. See you back here at 2:30 for a good win today. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Let's go. Thank you all for tuning in and your support. Really means a lot. See you back here at 2:30. Let's go. #RomBomb. I want to see hashtag in the comments before the watch long even gets going. Come on.